third NFL start for the 6th-round draft pick from San Diego State, who has no touchdowns and 5 interceptions, and trying to end one of the worst slides in NFL history, a 9-game skid by the Cardinals.
And that'll be a big number. You said no touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Chris, the turnovers, there's no margin for error with this offensive football team. And I think you used last week as an example in Seattle. 6 turnovers by the offense, 8 total, and they don't have a chance. So ball security by the quarterback will be a big number in this game.
Jason Hanson kicking off. William Powell set to return with LaRod Stevens howling. And Howling averaging almost 23 yards a return. He'll take it in the end zone, and the Cardinals will start from the 20-yard line. And Larry Fitzgerald, only 4 touchdowns. Getting to 1,000 may be a stretch given the quarterback play, but he's out there every down.
Yeah, and again, as I said earlier, need to feature the short passing game, get him going. Jeff King will start at tight end today. Rob Hauser, I would assume, will play a lot. The receiving tight end, Pat McQuiston, he's starting at right guard. What a huge challenge he's got his hands on his hands today against Ndamukong Suh, the stud D tackle for the Lions.
And 4th-string center. They had to slide over Adam Snyder from the guard spot, starting at center as Lindley throws on 1st down and toward the sideline. Michael Floyd, the target, and yes, he stayed in bounds. A 25-yard connection.
That may be one of the best throws I've seen Ryan Lindley make, and really a good route by Michael Floyd, keeping the distance between really where he was at the top of his route and the sideline, and the quarterback just threw him open. That was terrific. And they're going to get a lot of those isolation matchups today. Look, the Lions will load the box with the extra defenders, which gives the one-on-one matchups outside, especially opposite Larry Fitzgerald.
From the 45-yard line, it's LaRod Stevens howling. He's into Lions territory. He's got a 1st down. And Ndamukong Suh ran down the 5'7" running back, who's the leading rusher on this Cardinal team. You talk about inept offense. His 318 yards coming in, the worst of any running back leading any team in the NFL in rushing.
And Stephen Tulloch, Chris, needs to make this play. And they have a nice little stunt running where Ndamukong Suh goes to the inside. Stephen Tulloch comes to the outside, and he just whiffed on the running back.
14-yard pickup. 2 plays, 2 1st downs. Cardinals from the 41 of the Lions. And the pitch to Beanie Wells, who maybe gets a yard before he goes out of bounds. And we already mentioned Ndamukong Suh. Corey Williams went on injured reserve. Nick Fairley is out today with a shoulder injury.
So these guys are going to have to play a lot up front. You know, the Lions have gone with a 7- and 8-man rotation most of the year. They are shorthanded today, so a lot of plays for those defensive linemen. Stephen Tulloch, still the heart and soul of the defense, right in the middle, calling everything up, and a big shot in the arm. Hopefully he can make it through this game health-wise with the knee. Louis Dumas back in the lineup.
On 2nd down, Wells remains the back from the 40. Hausler splits way out to the left, top of your screen. Pass goes the other way to Jeff King, who tries to slip a tackle. It's down inside the 34-yard line. It'll bring up 3rd and short. Ryan Lindley, who was not known for a high percentage completion quarterback in college, although started 4 straight years at San Diego State, where Brian Sipe was his quarterback coach. Only 49% so far.
And again, a big part of that is no run game, so they're really always behind the chains in terms of long down and distance, and always having to throw the ball deep.
3rd down and 2. Andre Roberts in motion. Pass goes that way, and he's got a 1st down catch down to the 25 of Detroit. Ryan Lindley, who when the season started, 3rd on the depth chart. They actually picked up Brian Hoyer this week, but for Lindley, he was telling us he was more of a baseball fan growing up. His mom didn't want him to play football, worried that he would get hurt. Now he's starting in the NFL, and his mom and dad and his sister and fiance are here in the stadium watching him play today from nearby Southern California.
You're good. 180.
On 1st and 10, it's William Powell who gets tripped up inside the 25-yard line. The Cardinals last week, Tim, were moving the ball under Skelton, and then a turnover, and things were turned upside down as Patrick Peterson checks in on offense here for the Arizona Cardinals from the 24-yard line. In fact,
throw a little wildcat action. Ryan Lindley over on the sideline.
Peterson is your quarterback, the terrific corner and punt returner, and he's just going to run to the left with it. Here comes a flag as he got near the first down marker. Flag back at the 29-yard line.
Holding. Offense, number 87. 10-yard penalty. Replay, second down.
Jerome Boger, our referee, and the call against Jeff King wipes out a creative gain by Patrick Peterson.
Definitely a creative play call, and they've got the numbers in terms of the run game. There's Jeff King on Lawrence Jackson. Basically just grabs him around the right shoulder pad. That's an easy call for the official.
So it moves him back to the 34-yard line. Second down, 18.
Yeah.
Lindley is 3 out of his first 3 this afternoon.
Hey, 5-2, 5-2. 5-2, 5-2. Ready?
Got Hausler in the slot if he wants him.
Here comes a flag. Lions one of the worst when it comes to jumping where they draw it off.
They're one of the top teams in the league, and it's been one of their problems in terms of defensive penalties. They have shot themselves in the foot most of the season.
Prior to the snap, false start. Offense, number 33. 5-yard penalty, still second down.
William Powell called for drawing the Lions off, who do come in as the #1 team when it comes to offside.
And you see the down and distance there, 2nd and 23. I can almost guarantee either this play or the next one, you're going to see the Lions heat up Ryan Lindley with the blitz. You know, last week against Aaron Rodgers, they didn't call 1 blitz in the football game. I'll bet you they'll call 20 blitzes in this game, making this quarterback make quick decisions.
That's to Larry Fitzgerald, who has a catch, but goes nowhere. Jacob Lacey, the free agent from Oklahoma State, wrapped him up, and he's hurt. Lacey, 21, holding his left knee. Cardinals on a drive inside the 24, but a couple of penalties have backed them up, and now an injury. And as if Jim Schwartz hasn't had enough injuries this season, we will check on Jacob Lacey and return in a moment. Drayton Florence comes in for the injured Jacob Lacey. Cardinals opening possession of this game. Now 3rd and 25 from the 41 of Detroit. Pass is caught by Floyd, who gains 2 or 3 yards. You're still looking at a 56-yard field goal if they attempt. And it looks like they will not. David Zastudil will come back to punt, or at least line up that way.
And what's new for Arizona, really? I mean, they were down to the 26-yard line and basically self-inflicted themselves with penalties right out of field goal range. 2 consecutive plays. They had the holding call on the nice gain by Patrick Peterson, and then the false start, which really pushed them right out of range for Phelan.
And for Zastudil, this will be his 90th punt of the season, the most in the NFL. That tells you something about the Cardinal offense, which is ranked dead last in the league. Stephon Logan, fair catch called for. Back at the 8-yard line, where the Lion offense will take over. A 30-yard punt without a return. We'll get a look at Calvin Johnson and Matthew Stafford in a moment. Matthew Stafford leads the Lions on first down from their own 9-yard line. Their first possession of this football game, just under 10 minutes to go in the opening quarter. Michael Shore gets the football, and all the way up across the 16-yard line. Stafford comes in with 579 completions, the most in the NFL, and 7 300-yard games.
Well, and he throws the most, 44 times a game, but the running game is better than advertised. It really is. 15 rushing touchdowns on the year. We'll see those 2 tight ends all day long in terms of what they're doing in their personnel groupings. Big bonus for the Lions is those 5 offensive linemen, Chris, have stayed healthy all year and have played pretty well.
And Patrick Peterson on Calvin Johnson, top of your screen at 2nd and 3. Calvin Johnson tipped away by Peterson. It'll be 3rd and 3.
And this is the premier matchup that we'll have our sights on all day. And look, the Lions get into these heavy tight end sets, which force the extra defender up in the box for the Arizona Cardinals, which then give you the isolation matchups out on the edge. And Patrick Peterson, the ball a little bit underthrown, but played that perfectly.
Peterson said, "I'm the best corner in the NFL. Calvin Johnson's the 2nd best receiver. Larry Fitzgerald is the best receiver." We'll see.
Look at the vice they've got on Calvin out in the slot with 2 defenders.
They threaten blitz from the 16-yard line. Time for Stafford, and incomplete. He was going to Durham, who was covered by Greg Tolder.
And you see a lot of this on Calvin Johnson when he's split out wide, but rarely in the slot when he's coming from the inside alignment. And that time, William Gay and I believe Kerry Rhodes both locked up. They call it a vice technique, and really not trying to allow Calvin to get vertical down the field.
From Westview High School in Avondale, Arizona, Nick Harris back to punt for the Lions. And Peterson goes right from playing corner to punt return. Had a forgettable game last week. Lost 2 fumbles that were turned into touchdowns.
He's got a lot of room here.
And he's sprung. Here comes a flag as he is stopped short of the 44-yard line. Peterson, who was a rookie, had 4 returns for a touchdown last year, has yet to run one back this year.
No, it's the return game has really been awful for the Arizona Cardinals.
There is no foul on the play. No foul.
Flag is picked up at the 44, and the Cardinals offense gets its second opportunity today. You're watching the NFL on Fox. Some games from earlier today, final scores that have rolled in. The Giants get blanked by Atlanta. The Packers win over the Bears, so Green Bay gets the division in the NFC North. And the Redskins, with their win over Cleveland behind Kirk Cousins, they move in to first place in the NFC East.
5-5. Denver.
From the 43-yard line, 1st and 10. Ryan Lindley, his 6th throw of this game already. And it's intercepted as a flag comes in from the secondary. DeAndre Levy picked off the pass, but Larry Fitzgerald is saying, wait a minute. Was it offensive interference?
I think it's going to be offensive.
Pass interference. Offense, number 87. That penalty decline. The result of the play is the 1st down, Detroit.
Second penalty already on Jeff King.
Yeah, and Jeff King is right here, and he's the one that ends up getting the offensive pass interference. But an inaccurate throw from Ryan Lindley. Look, short underneath. There's the push off right there as Jeff King pushed off on Stephen Tulloch. They had a bracket coverage on him. Tulloch to the inside, DeAndre Levy to the outside, and Ryan Lindley never saw him. That's been such a problem this year. Even with the short to intermediate passing game, the accuracy has really been a big problem.
The 6th interception thrown by Lindley. Again, this is 3rd NFL start. Skelton is active as the other quarterback.
And that's one area for Detroit where they've really struggled this year, Chris, is getting the takeaways. That's only their 11th interception on the season.
On 1st down, it's LaShore at midfield. Let's check in with Patrick O'Neill and see what those Seattle Seahawks are doing in Canada.
Yeah, in Toronto, taking on the Bills, and while the Cardinals and their fans saw a lot of points from the Seahawks last week, 58, and Seattle's first drive of the game, Russell Wilson, his first career rushing touchdown, 14 yards. It's 7-0 over the Bills. Chris and Tim, back to you guys.
All right, thanks, Patrick. The NFC West standings, the 49ers with a night game against the Patriots. The wolf gray uni look of the Seahawks. LaShore remains the back from midfield on 2nd and 8. Stafford with time. And gets rid of it. It'll be 3rd down. Pressure applied by Darrell Washington, who leads the team in tackles and already has 9 sacks.
Well, and Stafford can't find anybody. They got a little technique on Calvin Johnson where they've got the linebacker, as you see there in the slot, Sam Acho underneath, and Kerry Rhodes behind him over the top, right there, number 25. And really, Adrian Wilson coming in support late. They had 3 guys on him. Nowhere for Matthew Stafford to go with the football.
Calvin Johnson, top of your screen, got 6'6" Chris Durham, one of the targets, along with the little guy Mike Thomas at 5'8".
Scheffler could really be the guy, the tight end, really acting as a 3rd wide receiver that could have a big game.
Blitz on Stafford. Throw is incomplete. William Gay was covering Scheffler. It'll be 4th down, and here comes the punting unit for the Lions.
Well, Matthew Stafford said he hopes the Arizona Cardinals blitz him. You know, not a lot of people have blitzed the Lions in their passing game this year. when they have, Matthew Stafford hasn't been great. And that time he got enough protection, but the ball came out a little late on Scheffler, allowed the DB to make a play on it.
Peterson standing inside his own 10. Harris's boot. No fair catch. There goes Peterson across the 15. Brought down at the 16-yard line. A 41-yard boot. Patrick Peterson, after chasing Calvin Johnson around, returns the punt. We're scoreless in Arizona. Jacob Lacey questionable with a knee injury as Ryan Lindley is 5 out of 6. That last incompletion, the interception by DeAndre Levy, his first interception of the season from the 16-yard line of Arizona. Beatty Wells the carry. Hit hard, but works his way just short of the 20-yard line. I want to go back to Lindley, who, as a rookie, Tim, he was saying that football is a fast, exciting game. That's what you like about it. But he's learned as a quarterback, especially at this level, you have to be the opposite. You have to slow it down and be calm.
Well, you got to react. I mean, you can't paralyze yourself by trying to analyze every single play, and it really becomes about playground football. Prepare all week long and then just go play. I've seen so many young guys, Chris, try so hard they try themselves right into mistakes.
A second down at 6. Stevens Howland gets the carry. It'll bring a third down. They need to get to the 26-yard line for a first down.
You know, you mentioned Jacob Lacey and his injury. I'll tell you a big reason why they're 4-9, and Jim Schwartz will tell you this, the head coach. Their secondary has been a mash unit. I mean, they have been so beat up with the injuries. Chris Houston has really been the only constant, and he's battled an ankle all year long. Louis Delmas in and out of the lineup. There he is, 26 there with a knee injury. Hard to cover guys consistently when you're playing with backups. That's why Jimmy Schwartz says a lot of times on the back end they got to junk it up and play with scheme.
The pitch to Howland. There's LaRon Stevens had nowhere to go. Fought hard to get to the 25, but it'll be short of the first down. Averaging 3.4 yards a carry. So on 4th and 1, here comes Zastudil to punt. Logan drops back for the Lions. Yeah, Luis Delmas, you're talking about, he's been healthy for just 6 of the last 19 regular season games, and he is one of the Lions' 5 best players, according to head coach Jim Schwartz. Part of the problems for Detroit, but they'll get the football back. Their defense did its job here. Fair catch called for. Logan standing back at the 20. Stafford has yet to complete a pass in 4 tries. We are scoreless in the Valley of the Sun and Desert. Tim Ryan, Chris Myers, and we welcome you to Arizona, where the Lions and the Cardinals are scoreless. First down, Detroit. Stafford looking for his first completion. He's tried a couple for Calvin Johnson. Joyce Bell is the back. Incomplete in the area of Calvin Johnson. Adrian Wilson was over there covering, and Stafford's one of those quarterbacks of the 32 teams in the NFL, 24 that have started every game the same guy. And where would they be without him?
No, they'd be in trouble. You know, I've heard all the quarterback experts talk about him and that he's not having the year, and the 41 touchdowns last year, only 17 this year. And go watch him play. I mean, he's lost 3 of his top 4 wideouts. They lead the league in drops with 37. And the defense isn't giving him all the extra opportunities. I think he's played well.
The pitch to Bell, and that goes nowhere. Cardinal defense stops him short of the 20. It'll bring it 3rd and long. Matthew Stafford on pace. You said he averages 44, 45 throws a game. He could set the NFL record for pass attempts in a season at 700. When I mentioned that to him, he just shrugged. He's not excited about it if you're not winning games.
I think a huge thing for these Lions. A lot of people wonder, what do they have to play for today? 4-9, lost 5 straight, nothing on the line. These guys got a taste of those playoffs last year. I promise you, these next 3 weeks, their goal is to get better headed into next year with some momentum. They want that taste back.
Calvin Johnson in the slot on 3rd and 10. And the football goes through his hands. It was a tough catch.
Again, double coverage on Calvin Johnson coming out of the slot. William Gay and Kerry Rhodes Here it is right here. You got William Gay to the outside, Rhodes to the inside. He's going to run a crosser. This ball could have been better thrown. I mean, Kerry Rhodes is in good position. If you're Matthew Stafford, put a little air under that ball. Arc it up a little bit. Drop it in the breadbasket for Calvin Johnson.
3 possessions, 3 3-and-outs for the Lions. Harris with the loop. Peterson from the 30. Knocked down on the sideline. After a 50-yard punt and a 7-yard return. So far, the Cardinals doing a job on Calvin Johnson. After today, just 2 regular season weekends remaining in the playoff picture. We'll be keeping an eye on that, as we always do from our perch here. Let's look at the AFC first, where Houston defeated Indianapolis today. Denver, New England, Baltimore struggling, losing again. They get the Giants next Sunday.
Yeah, so much for firing their offensive coordinator, Cam Cameron. I tell you, Denver to me is the team when you watch how they're playing, and offense, defense. Heck, I think they've won 9 consecutive games. So Peyton Manning, the sheriff, those guys are red hot.
When you look at some of the young quarterbacks, obviously RG3, who didn't play today, Luck, but there are other quarterbacks out there that people question the Cardinals for not drafting or going in that direction. They thought they had Kevin Cobb. He was injured. Should they have drafted a quarterback?
Well, it's easy to say now. I mean,
round?
it's easy to say now. They could have certainly got Russell Wilson. That was a guy that was in their
Kirk
wheelhouse.
Cousins, who played well for Washington
Yeah, he
today.
absolutely did. But you know what? Kevin Cobb got a big contract. He was the guy that, despite everything you heard, Skelton and him in a battle, I think Kevin Cobb, to me, was clearly the better quarterback. Skelton ended up getting hurt. Cobb came in and won the opener, and then actually played pretty well, and they haven't been the same since Kevin Cobb got hurt.
And he went on the injured list. So now, for the 3rd different time here, they're going with the 6th rounder who's being rushed in, Ryan Lindley, to see what they have to do at the end of the year. Will they retain Cobb? They have an option on a contract at a big payday, or will they have to go look for a quarterback? Beanie Wells slipped and knocked down at the 35. The Cardinals used their 1st round pick on Michael Floyd, a receiver, the 12th.
Well, that's also debatable and really hard to evaluate him because of how the quarterback situation has been. But you got to block Justin Durant. I mean, clearly, if you're Rob Hausler, the tight end, Durant was challenging the line of scrimmage, was on a run blitz, right into the face of Beanie Wells.
5-5.
Ready. 180.
Ryan Lindley will keep and slide short of the 44-yard line. It'll bring up 3rd down.
A nice decision by Ryan Lindley, Chris, to buy himself some time and then challenge the line of scrimmage really as a thrower. And as soon as Larry Fitzgerald took off in what they called the scramble drill, the quarterback out of the pocket, if you're shallow, go deep. That's what Fitzgerald did. He took a couple of defenders with him and allowed Ryan Lindley to pick up some nice positive yards and really put him into a 3rd and manageable.
3rd and 6, and part of the offensive struggles, of course, the offensive line. We mentioned already their 4th different center, 2 rookie tackles for this Cardinal team.
Leave him 5-2.
Hey, White kid. White kid.
They haven't scored a touchdown in the last 2 games. Lindley's throw. Roberts could not hold on.
I'll tell you, that is a heck of a throw by Ryan Lindley because they brought the pressure, did the Lions, and Ndamukong Suh, the beast that he is, ends up being right in the face of Lindley right there, and Lindley just throws a strike. When you look at Andre Roberts, who was covered pretty well, I mean, he lays out, he should catch that football.
The Cardinals' leading receiver in terms of yardage so far this year with over 675 yards. And a 4th down punt as Astudillo has been busy already. Logan lets it go. Bounces up around the 10-yard line before the Cardinals down it. And the Lions will come back on offense, scoreless here. January 4th, one of the better bowl games of the year. It's on Fox. Heisman Trophy winner, one of the more talked about players in the country, Johnny Manziel, leads 9th-ranked Texas A&M against the Oklahoma Sooners and Landry Jones. It's the AT&T Cotton Bowl Classic, January 4th, and you'll see it on Fox. And we do have a flag down after the punt and down football. Already 2 penalties that were costly on the Cardinals.
After the play was over, personal foul, unnecessary roughness. Defense, number 27, late blow to the opponent. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Michael Adams called for another Arizona violation.
And you see him out there tied up with the 2 guys that are trying to vice him. There was a little slap in the helmet, and where's the penalty coming in?
Well, we saw the right hand, kind of a move to the, a little bit of a frustration slap, but it digs the Lions out of the hole. All the way up across the 27-yard line.
They have yet to get a first down. They got to start feeding Tony Scheffler.
Pass is caught by Calvin Johnson. His first catch of the game as Patrick Peterson is with him. The 90th consecutive game. Every game he's played in since he's been in the NFL, he's had a catch.
Well, and Patrick Peterson's going to play behind him. So you do that against a 6'5", 230-pound receiver. If Matthew Stafford even puts that ball close in terms of the picture frame, typically Calvin Johnson's going to go get it. And one thing I've seen him do more of, Chris, over the last 6 or 7 weeks, more in-cutting routes. Less looking for the big play down the field, really attacking the middle of the field with the intermediate passing game.
And they give it to Mike Thomas. He stops short of the 40-yard line. Played his college football at Arizona and more recently at Jacksonville Jag before being picked up. You mentioned the receivers, Royals, of course, Titus Young, who they've had disciplinary issues with, and Nate Burleson early in the year, who was a terrific compliment to Calvin Johnson. Thin in that area.
Absolutely. And then you take Brandon Pettigrew out of the lineup today with the ankle injury and all of his production, and the pressure goes straight through the roof on the need for Calvin Johnson to stimulate this offense with a bunch of receptions.
2nd and 3. Time for Stafford. Pass is caught by Johnson. First down into Cardinal territory. Let's get a game break and check it again with Patrick O'Neill.
All right, Chris, thanks. After Russell Wilson scored his 2nd rushing touchdown to put Seattle up 14-0 on the Bills, C.J. Spiller answers back. 14-yard touchdown run. Buffalo trying to avoid being eliminated from the playoffs with a loss. It's now 14-7 starting the 2nd quarter. Chris and Tim, back to you.
Thank you, Patrick. After a game of 12 from the 49-yard line of Arizona, 1st and 10 Lions. Stafford after the fake from the pocket. Here comes a flag, and Calvin Johnson went down at the 15-yard line. Calais Campbell came in and put the pressure on Stafford.
While the quarterback was still in the pocket, illegal contact. Defense, number 58. 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Call on Darrell Washington.
Yeah, Darrell, we'll see him flash into the screen here in just a second as, again, Stafford in the pocket. Oh, he takes a nice shot. You can't grab and hold guys while the quarterback's in the pocket. As soon as he breaks the pocket, which is the outside leg of both offensive tackles, then you can get physical with the tight ends and the wide receivers trying to run their routes.
First down from the Arizona 44-yard line. Shore carries down to about the 41 as the first quarter is winding down. About 40 seconds to go here. Neither team has gotten close to punching it into the end zone.
I'll tell you what, I give Arizona a lot of credit. I was really curious to see how they were going to respond defensively for their head coach Ken Wisenhunt after that avalanche last week at Seattle. And if they came out here and laid an egg early, all the psychological advantage to the Detroit Lions, it's going to be a long day. Clearly that hasn't happened. They've been impressive so far in this game.
Shore is caught from behind by Campbell, and that'll bring an end to the opening quarter. Lions with an interception against the rookie Ryan Lindley, but the Arizona defense making it tough on Stafford and Detroit. We are scoreless after 1 in Arizona. That SH for Sandy Hook and all the families affected across the country, around the world, thinking of that tragedy that took place in Connecticut. A moment of silence earlier at every stadium around the NFL today. Stafford with a screen to Kevin Smith, who has a first down near the 30 of the Cardinals.
Boy, that is a great call from Scott Linehan, and they clear it out with Calvin Johnson on a crossing route. Calvin motions in tight. You're going to see him come in here. He'll cross the field, and then watch him leak Kevin Smith out here on the screen, and a really good throw from Matthew Stafford. Look at that. I mean, all of his shoulders, his whole body facing to the right, and he flips it over his left shoulder. Terrific call there by the offensive coordinator.
Scott Linehan, former head coach of the Rams, who took it on the chin today, losing at home to the Vikings, and Adrian Peterson. The short of the back after a gain of 13, he gets the carry and picks up 5.5, nearly 6 yards. Let's take another look at the release of Stafford, who can throw from anywhere in any position.
Yeah, from every platform possible. Look at everything facing to the right, and watch him flip it over his left shoulder with pressure in his face, right on target to Kevin Smith. You know, he has got special skills. Matthew Stafford, about 25 teams in the league would love to have him as their starting quarterback.
And he credits his baseball playing days as a youngster being able to flip the ball and throw from any angle. From the Arizona 24, Stafford, Calvin lays out, but it's incomplete. Patrick Peterson over there running with him. 2 catches in the game so far for Calvin Johnson for 19 yards.
And there's the matchup. Arizona brings the pressure, so one-on-one to the outside. That's where Calvin Johnson pushed off a little bit. Patrick Peterson wanted the pass interference. Certainly wasn't going to get it. And there's the hit on Matthew Stafford as Darnell Dockett's trying to hold him up. But I promise you, they're going to keep attacking Patrick Peterson when he gets in those one-on-one isolation matchups with Megatron.
Top of your screen is Calvin Johnson to the left of quarterback Matthew Stafford. On 3rd down. Pass is complete. That's Will Heller, the reserve tight end, who has a first down. Inside the 15.
Terrific pre-snap recognition there, Chris, from Matthew Stafford. He knew right when this ball was snapped, he was going to Will Heller, the 10-year veteran. And he looked to the right. Heller flashed open to the left. He threw a ball on target, and another 3rd down conversion for Detroit. Only their 2nd of the game.
At the 12-yard line on 1st down, Logan checks in. He's the speedy running back who now splits out as a receiver on the side with Calvin Johnson. To the left of Stafford, top of your screen.
This is where they got him in the game last week. Look for a little pivot route by Logan.
End zone. Pass is caught by Calvin Johnson. Maybe good enough for a 1st and goal. Calvin came in with just 5 touchdowns this year.
Well, that's exactly what they just ran with Stephon Logan. He ran a pivot route, which means you flash in and then bounce back to the outside. Kerry Rhodes went up and took him, opened the window for Calvin Johnson. You said it. I mean, 5 touchdowns. That's 6 times. 6 times Calvin Johnson has been tackled on the 1-yard line.
1st and goal after an 11-yard gain from the 1. LaShore, the back. Michael LaShore, and touchdown Lions. 8th touchdown running for LaShore. And Detroit breaks the scoreless tie.
What a great block by their center, the 12-year veteran Dominic Raiola. He's going to snap the ball. He's going to end up reaching the nose tackle, which means he hooked him, got to his outside shoulder, and then pushed his way to the linebacker, which gave just enough of a running lane for Michael LaShore to score.
Jason Hansen on for the extra point to give the Lions a 7-0 advantage. They had a heartbreaker leading Green Bay last week, only to lose for their skid to continue. But after 11 plays and 88 yards, more than 5 minutes of time chewed up, the Lions reach the end zone. Michael LaShore, 2nd-year player from Illinois, healthy and giving the Lions a healthy ground game. Meanwhile, the drought for the Cardinal offense continues. It's the 11th consecutive quarter without a touchdown, equaling a franchise worst set back in 1943. Jason Hansen to kick off and see if LaRon Stevens Howland can give the Cardinal offense a jolt. Moves it back out to the 20-yard line, where the Cardinal offense will try and respond to Calvin Johnson and Mike Elbashore. Calvin Johnson, Larry Fitzgerald. Those are the numbers so far today. 3 catches for Calvin. Larry, his 131st consecutive game with a catch, but that's all he has is 1 catch from the 21-yard line. On first down, on the move, there's a second catch. Fitzgerald gets up near the 30-yard line.
And I love the design. Look, bunch him up. Get Larry Fitzgerald in a little cluster with his own teammates, and you're really going to limit the ability to play any tight man coverage on him. And it's going to give him some open space underneath. Look at that number right there. I know you just mentioned it. Since 1943, 11 consecutive quarters without a touchdown. That's an old record.
It's always good to have a visual aid. My record is that old. Kind of a tough handoff for Wells, but eventually Lindley got it to him, and he's fighting hard for a first down, just short of the 35-yard line. Beanie Wells, who has a lot to prove, coming out of college, out of Ohio State, a first-round pick, off injured, averaging less than 2.5 yards a carry this year, but he hadn't been healthy.
And in the blowout game last week, it wasn't good. It hasn't been good all year for Beanie Wells. But I'll tell you one thing, the guy has really done his best in terms of his effort. In that blowout last week, he had some good hard runs at the end of that game, and that was a good example of the ambition of Chris Beanie Wells. He's going to keep fighting.
He gets the carry, and there goes Wells up to the 43-yard line. A couple of back-to-back good-looking runs with the fourth-year running back. Adam Snyder, the guard tackle who pressed into center duty after Lyle Sendline was injured. Then Ornberger hurt last week. Backed up by Scott Wittich. It'll be 2nd and 1.
5-5. Let it go.
Wells looks like he has it up for the first down. DeAndre Levy making the tackle.
You know, you mentioned Adam Snyder. This is his first start in a real game at center. And watch his block here. He had a real good block on the play before by Beanie Wells up the gut. And here, he just takes Ndamukong Suh the way Suh wants to go. Suh was penetrating to the right, the left of Adam Snyder. As an offensive lineman, that may not be how it's drawn up on the board, but you take the guy where he goes. So far, so good for Adam Snyder in his first real game action at center.
William Powell gets behind Lindley as the lone back. That is Rob Hausler in motion on first down. And Lindley's throw is batted incomplete. Let's get a game break. Check in with Patrick O'Neill. Patrick?
All right, checking in on the Seahawks and the Bills, and Marshawn Lynch taking beast mode to Toronto. Lynch, his first game against his former team, goes 54 yards, and well, he would be tackled inside the 5, would lead to a Russell Wilson touchdown pass to Zach Miller. Seahawks lead 24-7 in the second quarter. Chris and Tim, Seattle's offense looking good.
They've already won 2 games on the road this year and undefeated at home. The only other team this season other than the Atlanta Falcons. They'll be there next week against the Niners. The ball is loose and Lindley falls on it back at the 35-yard line. Every time the Cardinals put together a good drive, they either have penalties or miscues that back them up.
And that's why you're 4-9. Really, it's that simple. And no margin for error when you don't have your quality players. And that was a low snap.
Well, you just talked about Snyder not being a center through much of his career and a rookie quarterback.
And I know that he had worked. I was talking to Adam before the game. He said he worked extensively all week long. There's Russ Grimm there, the offensive line coach, on snapping the ball to Ryan Lindley. And not just when Lindley's under center, but when he's in the shotgun. It's a clear miscue.
0 for 3 on third down. It's 3rd and 20 here. And for Fitzgerald, out of bounds, it'll be 4th down. Lindley knocked down.
And look, Chris, here's been a problem with this offense all year is the timing of the passing game. Larry Fitzgerald, that ball should be out of the quarterback's hand already. As soon as Larry Fitzgerald on those timing routes makes that outcut, that quarterback should already be in his back step, and that ball should be gone.
And you saw Government Cup fans here starting to boo a little bit. There are a lot of Lions fans here. This is the 72nd straight sellout here in this stadium. A compliment to the fans in the Valley of the Sun who come out to see football. Logan calls for the fair catch, but his own man is blocked into it. So that ball is fumbled and recovered by the Cardinals. Michael Adams fell on it at the 5-yard line.
I think they're going to try to get one of the Cardinals for illegally punching the football and batting the football.
Well, the way he was blocked into Logan.
Yeah, but it was after the ball was already on the ground. You saw an Arizona Cardinal come in with his arm, and whether it was intentional or not, it looked like he hit the ball.
The ruling on the field is that the ball was first touched by a member of the kicking team. Therefore, it's the receiving team's ball at the spot of first touch.
And here it is. No, the receiving team, it looked like Logan certainly touched that ball first.
Because the Cardinal did not, Michael Adams did not have it.
And he certainly didn't bat it. He was just trying to corral it, and the ball got away from him.
Yeah, he was not the first one to touch it from that view. And Ken Wisenhunt.
That the ball first touched a member of the receiving team and was ultimately recovered by Arizona. First down, Arizona.
There we go. Got it right. Yeah, you could see as that ball came down, it was Pat Lee, it looked like. He or Stephon Logan. There's Lee, 27. Looked like Logan, either his hands or Pat Lee's back, certainly touched the ball first.
And then Adams gets on it to recover it down at the 5-yard line. Tony Steratore helping Jerome Boger and the officiating crew sort out what was initially called Lions football. The turnover will give the Cardinals the football down at the 5-yard line of the Lions. Muffed punt recovered by Michael Adams. So first and goal for Ryan Lindley and the Cardinals.
And really, really bad awareness for the Detroit Lions and Pat Lee.
From the 5.
You can't be anywhere near that football where it's coming down.
Now if it is ruled a turnover on the field, which is what Jerome Boger came back and called it, it would be automatically reviewed. So they'll check it upstairs. They'll take a look at what we just saw, and we'll have more from Arizona. Under review, the punt that has been recovered by the Cardinals. We welcome in Mike Pereira, our rules analyst, former head of officiating. And Mike, what are they looking at here?
Well, they're looking to see who touched the ball. Interesting. This is not a turnover, yet it is a specific play in the new replay rule that will be looked at by the replay official upstairs. It's a punt that is muffed by the receivers, and then recovered by the kickers. That ruling is automatically looked at by the official upstairs. If he couldn't determine it, then he'll buzz down for the review, and that's what they're looking at, just to confirm that the ball was touched by the receivers, which it was, and they'll end up confirming that this is Arizona's ball.
The ruling on the field stands. First down, Arizona.
Thank you, Michael. You're looking great as always, my friend.
Appreciate your expertise.
Thank you. I work hard at this, Tim.
He works hard to look good and to officiate. Well, you call it whatever you want, Mike. I know it's a Cardinal football. It's a takeaway, a turnover, whatever, a muffed punt. First and goal from the 5. Beanie Wells. Down to the goal line. Larry Fitzgerald came out of there with the football. There was never a signal for a touchdown down on the field.
The ruling on the field is a touchdown. The ball was fumbled after the running back crossed the goal line.
Well, you feel good if you're Mike Adams, who got that muff. I like the way they're running right at the heart of the Lions defense. Look at Nate Potter. I mean, Nate Potter, and there's the ball as it looked like it had gone over before it came out.
Well, this will automatically be reviewed,
Absolutely.
Right? So we've got a muff and a fumble and a touchdown.
Clearly, the ball looked like it was popped up and out before anything was down on Beanie Wells. The question is will the ruling stand and what was called that the ball was over the plane of the goal line before it was dislodged.
The previous play is under review.
But I love the way they're running right at him. I mean, the heart of that Detroit defense is certainly their defensive tackles, and they just pushed them right off the football.
This is the best I've seen Beanie Wells run in a long time. But holding out of the football, paramount here. Can't really see from that angle. Fitzgerald came out of the pile with the football. If they give the touchdown to Wells, it would be his third rushing touchdown of the season.
Well, I can't see anything from those two angles we just looked at that would be enough visual evidence to turn it over. You just could not see where the football was as he was going over the plane of the goal line.
That's a good point, Tim, because Jerome Boger said the ruling on the field is touchdown.
Right. In another angle, you just couldn't see with all those blue jerseys and players around Beanie Wells whether or not that ball came loose or not.
Mike Pereira is always watching. And Mike, your thoughts on this?
Well, I'll tell you what, I don't think you can see, just like you guys are saying, I don't think that there's anything that you can conclude for certain to overturn the call. You know, it looks like the rearmost part of his body hits down, but you can't tell where the ball is at that point. So, you know, we're having a little fun with replay here, aren't we? Back-to-back plays.
Yeah, Mike, this may be a technicality for fantasy fans who might have Beanie Wells, but we would assume that if they're going to keep it a touchdown, he would get credit for the touchdown. It's not a fumble recovery in the end zone, right, for Larry Fitzgerald?
Yeah, I'm sure that that's what they would do, although I'm not very good at that stats. I'm not a fantasy guy, so I don't know who gets credit for what. I have a hard enough time just telling what's a touchdown anymore.
Well, on this one, it is difficult to tell.
Yeah, but called a touchdown on the field that he had possession of the ball while he crossed the plane of the goal line. This will be Beanie Wells' touchdown. Mike, where do you get your hair products, man?
Well, it takes me a whole tube of this stuff every day, every time I try to get ready to go on air.
Thanks, Mike.
It's expensive.
The ruling on the field stands. Touchdown.
So two reviews, but reviews that stand, that support what was called on the field. The muff punt recovered by Michael Adams of the Cardinals, and then Beanie Wells takes it in from 5 yards out. Despite the loose football on the back end, he gets the touchdown. And that snaps that scoreless string of 11 quarters for the Cardinals, and Jay Feely on for the extra point to tie this game. It's 7-all. Cardinals coming off that 58-0 embarrassment up in Seattle. They get into the end zone, and in front of the home folks, they're tied in the second quarter. Along with Tim Ryan, Chris Myers, and Mike Pereira of his hair products. We're glad you're watching the NFL on Fox. Jay Feely ready to kick off. Hasn't attempted a field goal in the last couple of games. Finally got an extra point. Matthew Stafford sitting and waiting after a couple of booth reviews. The Lions miscue. And we're tied at 7. Stephon Logan, who was involved in the muff punt, with a little help from a teammate. From his own end zone is bringing it out. Does a good job to get up across the 25-yard line. We mentioned Calvin Johnson as the Cardinals and Lions are pushing and shoving, and that's what happens when you got a team that's lost 5 in a row and another one that's lost 9 in a row. A little edgy.
Yeah, Mike Adams bit off a little more than he could chew right there on Ashley Palmer and tried to throw him and just got planted.
Palmer, the leading tackler on the special teams unit of the Lions, and Adams, the one who came up with the loose football that set up the Cardinals touchdown. Just over 9 minutes to go here before halftime. And confirming that Beanie Wells does get credit for that touchdown.
Yeah, here's Palmer and Adams right here. Look at trying to throw. Oh, no.
From the 26-yard line, first down Lions. Stafford to throw for Calvin Johnson, his 100th catch of the season.
Well, I just don't know how you cover that if you're Patrick Peterson, who is one-on-one matched up outside the numbers with Calvin Johnson, and Calvin is going to look like he's doing the takeoff route. I mean, he is going to push this so hard vertically. Patrick Peterson flips his hips to run with him. Calvin breaks it off and comes back. That's almost undefensible when you got a good quarterback and a good communication between the quarterback and the wideout.
First time in his career he's reached 100 catches in a season, and this is 6th NFL season. Chasing records, team records, and NFL records as LaShore carries. And look how LaShore up across the 45-yard line for a Lions first down.
I'll tell you what they've done really all year long is they use Riley Reef as the extra tight end, the first-round pick offensive tackle. There's a little gut play up inside, right up the gut of the Cardinal defense, and he just leads the way. And it's designed to cut back. All the linemen go one way, Riley Reef and the running back go the other for a nice positive gain.
LaShore has the touchdown for the Lions. Beanie Wells, the touchdown for the Cardinals. First down for the 46, it'll be LaShore. Another strong run. 8-yard pickup. Let's check in with Kurt Menefee. Kurt, we enjoyed you playing Cardinal quarterback on the pregame show.
Well, the Cardinal fans saw a lot of this last week as well. Russell Wilson of the Seahawks, 3 rushing touchdowns and a touchdown pass, and they're only midway through the second quarter. Seattle cruising 31-7 right now. They've outscored their opponents 89-7 in the last 5.5 quarters, Chris. I don't know if I could play quarterback that well.
Kurt, the chin strap's supposed to go over your chin, bro. That's number one.
The pride of Coe College. He
was awesome.
He did make it to the end. Let everybody on the show crack. I was laughing out loud. The hotel were watching. Pass incomplete. There are a couple of flags down. Stafford is knocked down.
They're going to get defensive holding here on the Arizona Cardinals.
Calais Campbell on top of Stafford. And he is moving carefully.
I'll tell you one thing.
There are 2 fouls on the play. Holding, offense, number 76. Holding, defense, number 21. Those fouls offset, replay, second down.
So on Patrick Peterson and on Jeff Backus, those are the calls, but and no call on the hit on Peterson except he's hurt.
Yeah,
I should say on
Stafford. Yeah, he got slammed. I give Matthew Stafford a lot of credit in terms of his durability. Calais Campbell hit it good right there. You know, he has really developed. And remember when he came in to the league and had the shoulder issues? He has really developed his body in an NFL weight room, and it serves him well on the field as he's able to stay out there and take those kind of shots.
Penalties offset. LaShore on 2nd and 3 carries. Here comes a flag from behind Stafford.
Holding, offense, number 77. 10-yard penalty, replay, second down.
Goster Carroll is called the right tackle for the penalty.
And there he is, and it's going to be on Darnell Dockett, who's ready to make this play in the backfield. And he's right there, and Goster Carroll has just wrapped him around the waist and basically pulled him out of the run lane.
You see the penalty so far, and they have hurt the Cardinals in some of their drives. This backs up the Lions now 2nd and 13 inside their own 43-yard line.
They have yet to throw to another wide receiver other than Calvin Johnson.
Stafford, sidearm throw that goes low and incomplete. Mike Thomas and Chris Durham, the receivers out there. We mentioned earlier the injury to Ryan Broyles, a developing youngster. Titus Young, who had disciplinary issues, and of course Nate Burleson, who was injured earlier in the year, that was the starter opposite Calvin Johnson.
Yeah, and if you think about it, we had him in the Seattle game, the game where they, I think their last win, as a matter of fact. They had just lost Nate Burleson the week before against the Bears, and expectation was Titus Young and Ryan Broyles, they got to step up. Those guys really stepped up their game. And then Titus Young lost his way mentally, and then Broyles ended up getting hurt.
3rd and 13. Stafford's throw is incomplete. Will Heller, the target. Actually, a win against Jacksonville was the last Lions victory. That was the week after Seattle. When you look at the Lions season, starting out 1-3, and then they won 3 out of 4 before falling into this 5-game skid.
Well, you can put their season into a capsule with slow starts by the offense and special team miscues the first half of the season, and then over the last 5 or 6 games, Chris, their defense has been tailing off and haven't been able to hold leads.
Nick Harris back to punt, standing inside the 30. Patrick Peterson waving for the fair catch. has it at the 19-yard line. A 38-yard punt without a return. Fox Sports coverage of the UFC continues December 28th on Fuel TV with live weigh-ins for UFC 155, and on December 29th with the UFC 155 prelims on FX, and then Saturday, January 26th, it's the UFC right here on Fox. It's Rampage Jackson goes into the octagon against flyweight Demetrius Johnson. Fox Sports, your home for the UFC. Beanie Wells, the back for Ryan Lindley, who is 6 out of 10 with an interception. Throwing on first down and has time and wide open, incomplete. He had Andre Roberts, also Jeff King was wide open as tight end.
And I think Jonte Green is going to end up getting a defensive hold here on Andre Roberts.
There's a flag down. Jonte Green, one of the corners that has been improving.
Personal foul, grabbing the face mask. Defense, number 36. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Jim Schwartz had liked the way Green had been playing, the rookie from New Mexico State, but a penalty here.
And really has been forced into action, and he was beat bigger than Dallas on the double move there with Andre Roberts. And that face mask probably ends up being a good thing, because if he doesn't face mask him and slow him down, Andre Roberts probably running into the end zone.
Beat bigger than Dallas. That's big. That's big. Not New Mexico. He went to college. Actually, Texas is big. Fresh set of downs from the 34. Beanie Wells is smothered. The Lion defense is stonewalled. For all the money and draft picks the Lions have in that defensive line, and I'm not singling out anybody in particular, Tim, but they just have not carried, you know, the defense overall this year, but they have not been the strength. They haven't carried this team.
Yeah, well, a couple of things. I think Nick Fairley's coming on. He's still a young draft pick. He's not playing today. Gunther Cunningham, I'll tell you, and Ndamukong Suh has been very, very consistent in his run defense. Just hasn't been the dominant pass rusher. Chris, I think you can really put the focus on the DNs. They have not provided enough punch this year.
On second down, Fitzgerald with a catch inside the 35-yard line for Larry, his third catch of the game. And it'll bring up a third down.
And that's really the area. I mean, look, these guys on the inside, they're getting doubled a lot, which tells me the defensive ends are getting one-on-one matchups. They got to get after it. They got to win. You see right there, Cliff Averill stuck on the line of scrimmage. Lawrence Jackson over there on the rookie 7th-round pick, Nate Potter. I mean, no real juice in terms of getting to the edge and threatening the quarterback.
3rd and 9. Pressure is picked up. Lindley's pass to Hausler is caught. He puts a move on, but can't get the first down. Good work by DeAndre Levy after getting beat, not allowing Hausler to get loose. Levy had the interception earlier in the game, his 5th career pick, so back out to boot it is Dave Zastudil. And Logan back to return. 4.5 to go here in the first half. Inside the 5. What a special teams play by Justin Bethel. The Lion offense after a 50-yard punt and no return. The Lions will start out at a hole.
Now let's give Zastudil some credit too. I mean, he's been putting good hang time on the football, which really allow his coverage guys to get down there as the ball's dropping out of the sky. That's how you want it. I mean, you want your punter getting it up high with hang time so it's hitting the returner right when your coverage guys are getting there.
Quentin Groves, linebacker for the Cardinals, headed to the locker room with an injury. We'll check on him. Earlier in the game for the Lions, Jacob Lacey was injured. And Calvin Johnson, who has 100 catches, 4 today for 39 yards on first down. There's a flag down.
False start. Offense, number 77. Half the distance to the goal. Still first down.
A focus issue for Jim Schwartz's lineman here. It's another call on Guster Sherrills. So that backs the Lions up from the 7.
And not where you want to be against a Ray Horton defense, Chris, who loves to set pressure and force negative plays.
The shore of the back. Calvin Johnson, bottom of your screen with Patrick Peterson.
They did it again.
There's some jumping around.
False start. Offense, number 71. Half the distance to the goal. Still first down.
That's on rookie Riley Reef. The roof is open, but as we mentioned, sold out. Noisy when you get to that part of the end zone.
Okay, I give these Cardinal fans a lot of credit as well. The way this season is going, for them to keep their spirit up and stay in it.
From his own end zone. For Calvin Johnson, it's intercepted. Patrick Peterson has a takeaway. Peterson inside the 5. If he didn't lose his balance, he would have run it into the end zone.
I think it was Calvin Johnson swiping at him at the end. This is not a good throw from Matthew Stafford. Very risky throwing out of your own end zone. Clear double coverage on Calvin Johnson. You got Patrick Peterson who will play him on the top shoulder. You got Adrian Wilson coming over the top. And it was a little hold right there. It looked like that Patrick Peterson got away with. That really contorted the route of Calvin Johnson. And Peterson was right in perfect position. Interception number 6, I believe.
No, that's his
number 7 on the year for Patrick Peterson.
The 4th consecutive game with an interception, and the last time a Cardinal did that, it was Aeneas Williams back in 1994. And for Arizona, their 20th interception of the season, 3rd in the NFL. Beanie Wells the back. First and goal. Wells the carry. Gets down to the goal line. And let's give, you pointed out this Cardinal crowd, let's give them an assist for making some noise. A couple of penalties back up Stafford.
You bet.
And then the defense of Ray Horton forcing the turnover.
Tell you, Patrick Peterson, I mean, I've talked to a lot of coaches around the NFL, defensive coaches, and we had him earlier in the year. So what do you think of Patrick Peterson? Obviously a playmaker, and I had a lot of guys say, you know what, as a cover guy, not great. Well, over the last several games, they've all changed their tune. He's been outstanding, big improvement.
Second and goal from the 1. Beanie Wells is in for the Cardinal touchdown.
Tell you one thing, Beanie Wells is getting all 230 pounds going straight downhill. There was a couple of Lion defenders there to hit him at about the 1-yard line. In particular, DeAndre Levy, and he just ran right through the arm tackle using his size.
The extra point, and the Cardinals, who trailed 7-0. After a month, they take it in. After an interception, they take it in. And now a 14-7 Cardinal advantage.
Here's what I love about Larry Fitzgerald. He's going to get in the mix and have an impact however he can. Watch as he ends up getting a nice block there on Ashley Palmer, which was really one of the key blocks to pushing Palmer down inside and helping it open up the crease for Beanie Wells.
Beanie Wells with a couple of touchdowns, doubling his total for the entire season.
I was talking to Fitzgerald, Chris, before the game, and 4-9, 9 consecutive losses. I said, how do you keep it going, man? How do you stay motivated? He's such a professional. He's such a humble guy. And he said he thinks back to early in his career with the Arizona Cardinals. He said Emmitt Smith was on this football team. We all remember that. He said we had nothing to play for, but to watch that guy prepare, to watch him practice hard every day and give maximum effort every play in game, he said has resonated with him really from the beginning when he saw Emmitt do it, and he hasn't looked back since.
And Calvin Johnson said that back at the Pro Bowl when the Lions were going through some tough losing, he saw Larry Fitzgerald, and he said Larry gave him encouraging words about being a professional, fighting and playing on every down regardless of the one-loss record. We're seeing it today from these two teams. As Logan downs it in the end zone. Lions will take over at the 20-yard line now trailing. Let's check in on the Cowboys with Patrick O'Neill.
All right, well, it's a big game for Dallas. A win, and they could move into a tie in the NFC East. Three-way tie. Romo to Witten, 17 yards. So far, the Steelers' offense inefficient, in a word. Let's go back to Chris and Tim.
Thank you, Patrick. The Redskins beating Cleveland earlier today behind Kirk Cousins 38-21, and the Giants losing to Atlanta 34-0. And that's why the Cowboys are in position.
I think that East is coming down to the final game.
That's when the Cowboys will play the Redskins in the last game of the regular season. Giants will be playing the Eagles. Joink Bell for the carry for Detroit. Already Stafford 6 out of 16 in this game, and Bell, the local favorite from Wayne State College, is kind of kicked around out of high school, was a security guard at training camp for the Lions, and saw that he got a big tip from one of the players getting pizza. Wow, that's a lot of money if I can make it in this league.
I love guys
Could
like
be worth
that
it.
who have really been up against it. 5 teams on their roster, whether it be practice squad or finally getting a shot here on the active roster, and he has really played well for Detroit.
Averaging over 5 yards a carry. This time the Cardinal defense, led by Calais Campbell, Tim, was having a big game today.
Well, they need the defensive tackles to play well. And here's Calais Campbell. He's sitting right here, all 6'8" of them. And he and Darnell Dockett have both had a nice impact in this game, getting into the backfield. I mean, you can't play that down block any better than Calais Campbell. And when they're hoping the offensive tackle, that being Jeff Backus, can get push and wash Calais Campbell down inside, he read the block perfectly, was able to get back in the mix.
It'll be 3rd and 7 at the 2-minute warning here. Each team with 3 timeouts. But the Cardinals, back home after embarrassment in the Pacific Northwest, are leading the Lions 14-7. Excitement in Arizona, where the Cardinals have the lead. And now their defense. 3rd and 7 against the Lions. Stafford from his own 23, threatening blitz.
No, they're going to bring the pressure.
It's coming. Passes out, caught. Chris Durham knocked down across the 35, but has a first down, catch and carry. Former college roommate of Stafford's at Georgia.
What a great pickup by Matthew Stafford as the blitz is coming right in his face. Reggie Walker right here, little sidearm flip. Durham on the crossing route. That's the first catch by anybody other than Calvin Johnson in terms of the wide receivers. Really perfect. I mean, I love that when a quarterback's in trouble and the blitz is in his face, run a crosser right in front of him. Paris Lennon went down, fell down, big first down.
Joink Bell carries and gets up across the 40-yard line. It'll bring up 2nd down. Lions are going to use a timeout. They have 2 remaining. 1:19 to play here in the first half. Some excitement early. Adrian Peterson with a big day. Redskins winning. Let's check in with Kurt Menefee.
Coming up on the Visa Halftime Show, we'll get you all caught up in a great day of action in the NFL, including a huge one for Adrian Peterson and the Vikings. Plus, who leads the NFC East now? Find that out and much more when we come back on the Visa Halftime. Get to work, guys. Right?
Thumbs up. Adrian Peterson, if he gets 2,000, breaks Eric Dickerson's record and gets the Vikings into the playoffs, is he your most valuable player?
I don't think there's any question about it. Peyton Manning's been great. Tommy Brady's been outstanding. The MVP, when you think about what he's coming off of and the year he's put together with really no passing game, Adrian Peterson, to me, hands down the most valuable player.
Vikings in Houston to take on the Texans next Sunday. You'll see that on Fox. Saw Ray Horton running the Cardinal defense as the pass is caught by Tony Scheffler. So far in the game, Calvin Johnson's been targeted 10 times. He has 4 catches for 39 yards.
Well, you'd love, if you're Detroit, to get Matthew Stafford going here and get him in a rhythm in terms of the passing game to someone other than Calvin Johnson. We just saw Durham get it. We just saw Tony Scheffler get it. Move your way down the field. Use your timeouts and the sideline if you need to. Get in field goal range.
On 3rd down and 2. From the Lion 45-yard line. Here comes the blitz again. Pass is complete. And Tony Scheffler falls forward. Good enough for a Lions first down.
Well, you got to operate quick now. You got 3 timeouts left.
Just 2 now.
Or 2. They've used 1. Okay. Yeah, that being the Lions. Okay.
From the 48, Bell is the back. 50 seconds to go. Sideline throw. Incomplete for Durham. He's 6'6", but that one thrown out of bounds. Cardinals have all 3 of their timeouts. Stafford's already attempted 20 throws in this game.
And has only completed 9 of them. And the blitz, look, they haven't gotten there with the sacks, but the pressure has certainly forced some either quick throws or some errant throws from Matthew Stafford. The blitz has had an effect. That's one thing about the Cardinals now. They are hard on opposing quarterbacks to the tune of second best in the league, forcing QBs to struggle.
And the Peterson interception which set up the go-ahead touchdown.
Got Scheffler in the slot at the top.
He couldn't hold on. Scheffler had it in his hands. It'll be 3rd and 10. 41 seconds to go. 2 timeouts Detroit. We haven't had a sack by either team in this game. And that's amazing for the Cardinals, who've given up more than any team in the league to their quarterback.
A perfect ball location, low down on the bump buckle where you want it for your crossing route. And Scheffler just flat out dropped it.
Lions lead the NFL in drop passes. That's right, 38th this year. On 3rd and 10. Here comes a flag.
False start. Offense, number 77. 5-yard penalty. Still 3rd down.
That's the 3rd call on Guster Charles in this game, and we've yet to hit the half. 5 penalties accepted against the Lions, 4 against the Cardinals. One of those #1 draft picks. And Jeff Backus on the other side. Riley Reef waiting in the wings. On 3rd and 15. Stafford's throw is intercepted. Rashad Johnson. Can he get in? Touchdown Cardinals.
No, they laid the bait down for Matthew Stafford. They really did. Rashad Johnson, a great job of really showing what Matthew Stafford looked like, thought was too deep coverage. 5 underneath. They only rushed 4. And he just read the eyes of the quarterback. And as Matthew Stafford reared back to throw it, Rashad Johnson made the break on the football and took it to the house.
Stafford's 2nd interception thrown in this game. That's 21 for this Cardinal team this year.
Yeah, how about all that news this week that the locker room quit on Ken Whisenhunt?
I don't know who was saying that, but these guys haven't quit. Now a 21-7 advantage. That's the 2nd interception of the season. A 53-yard return for Johnson, his first career touchdown.
And you see him looking on the deep half there outside the hash. Right away in Matthew Stafford's eyes, oh, that's a nice little hook right there. We can get the easy completion. He never saw Rashad Johnson, who made a great break. Takes it to the house for a touchdown.
You know, we talked with Kerry Rhodes, the safety who does a radio show on KTAR in Phoenix with Paul Calvisi, and he said that the Darnell Dockett incident and all, even that's all in the past, and that did not have an effect on how this team had to approach this game today.
Look, I don't know how you quit on your head coach who's taken this team to the Super Bowl. I really don't know how you quit on him if he hasn't found a quarterback in 2 months. Really.
And President Michael Bidwell said this week that Ken Whisenhunt will coach the remaining 3 games of this season. Regardless, he's going to wait and look at all the facts. And I asked Ken about job security. He said, look, I understand this profession. It's part of the job. It reminds me of The Godfather with Hyman Roth telling Michael Corleone, it's the business we have chosen.
Yeah, and I also think this. When you get head coaches that are former players that have the player mentality, and Wiz played 9 years, he knows his job's on the line every day he shows up at work.
The franchise has been in 80 years 13 playoffs, and of course Ken Whisenhunt has taken them to 6, including the Super Bowl. Let's talk playoffs this year. We know that neither of these 2 teams will be involved, but those Seahawks are winning big, 31-17.
Well, they could still win the division. I mean, they'll hope that San Francisco loses tonight at New England and sets up a monumental matchup next week in Seattle between the 49ers and the Seahawks.
And the highlights coming up with Kurt and the guys at the half, and updated details on the playoffs. The Bears are fading and the Vikings are coming on. That's a Leslie Frazier and the job he's done.
Awesome.
Rather impressive with 2 games remaining in the regular season after this weekend. Bell will carry to try and get the Lions to the half. And what a turnaround. They had a 7-0 advantage, but a muff punt, then a Patrick Peterson interception, and then the Rashad Johnson interception returned for a score. And just like that, the Cardinals have a 21-7 lead.
Well, you think of Matthew Stafford, as you said, 20-plus attempts already in this game in the first half. 22 of them, only completed 9. This is a 4,000-yard passer. He's got 85 yards throwing.
Lions will be throwing in the second half to try and rally here in Arizona. Let's check in with Kurt Menefee in Los Angeles for the Visa halftime report. Meanwhile, tremendous coaching job by Ken Wisenhunt and his team responding. Who will be the streak buster today? Follow your favorite team all season long. Go to itunes.com/NFL. Cardinals come in having lost 9 straight. Lions have lost 5 in a row. And somebody will snap out of it.
Well, and heartbreakers, too, for the Lions. I mean, you look at their last 3 games. The Houston game, the Indianapolis game on the last play, the Green Bay game last week. And that heart should be hard by now. They've had so many heartbreakers.
Logan from his own end zone will have it. Let's check in down on the field with Jamie Maggio. Jamie?
Thank you, Chris. Well, heading into the half, Lions coach Jim Schwartz taking a minute to talk with the official. I asked him what that conversation was about. He said on the punt, the original ruling was Lions ball. Then they gave it to the Cardinals. He said the video was not conclusive. That should have been Lions ball. He also mentioned the offense. Somebody's got to get this done besides Calvin Johnson. As for Ken Wisenhunt, well, he was pleased with what he's calling a total team effort, especially on defense. I don't know if you caught him chest bump Patrick Peterson after the interception, but Wisenhunt said they've got to keep that going because they know the Lions are explosive. Guys, back to you.
McKellar Shore, and Shore gets stopped at the 24. He had the touchdown run in the first half for the Lions.
Well, listen, I disagree with what Coach Schwartz said. He's a super smart guy and got a lot of respect for him. But what happened was the officials got together and had a conference and then figured out that it did touch a Lion first. And if you go back and really look at the video, to me, there was one angle that was crystal clear that the ball came down and hit the hands of Stephon Logan.
And Lion fans know their special teams problems earlier in the year. They had issues, they ironed them out, but a miscue on that special teams block that didn't give Logan a chance. And let's take a look at the play as Calvin Johnson makes the catch. If you just tuned in, this is when really the momentum shifted as Logan. There was the fair catch call for him. That's his own man. It was touched. And then on the muff was Michael Adams down at the 5-yard line.
And that's not even the best perspective in terms of to see that it hit the right hand of Stephon Logan. The camera from the side clearly showed that it came down and hit the hand of Logan.
Meanwhile, after 58-0 up in Seattle, and you had questions, I'm sure the Cardinal fans that sold this place out had some questions about how the team would respond, and they have done well so far. And there's the defense doing its job again.
He is just a beast, Calais Campbell. He is so big and has so much strength for a big guy, Chris. Most of the time, at 6'8", it's hard for interior players to keep their pads down. Not Calais Campbell. And look at him disengage off that block with Rob Sims. Push it about 2 yards in the backfield and another tackle for loss.
Playing without Dan Williams today because of a hamstring injury. That defensive line having to count on Campbell and Darnell Dockett a little bit more. So 4th down. Harrison to punt. Patrick Peterson has an interception in this game on the return. Peterson, sideline, goes out of bounds. Got all the way up to the 38, 39-yard line. And that should set up the Cardinal offense. And rookie quarterback Ryan Lindley, who was 8 out of 12 and suffered an interception, but he and the Cardinals have a 14-point lead. Everybody hungry for a win in the desert as Petey Wells carries on 1st and 10. Wells with a couple of touchdowns in the first half, taking advantage of miscues on the Lions offense. Checking the stats, what jumps out at you other than the turnovers?
Well, that's the big one. And then Arizona defensively, last week was an aberration against the Seattle Seahawks in that perfect storm, the Avalanche. Look, they have taken the #2 offense in the NFL and the Detroit Lions and throttled them down to 143 yards.
The Cardinals hold the lead with a rookie at the controls. Incomplete. Lindley's throw for Roberts.
Well, and Andre Roberts is looking at Ryan Lindley like, dude, that ball location was way off. And certainly catchable for Andre Roberts. But that ball's got to be on his pads on the inside so he can take off and run with it up inside.
And you said at the open, run some plays, some basic plays to give your quarterback a chance. That's one of them. Lindley's got to do his part. Frustration from Roberts.
Not a good throw, but certainly one Roberts still should have caught. All the excitement, Chris, about him. And warranted, and had four touchdowns in the first 4 games. Had 1 touchdown in 9 games. Andre Roberts.
Lindley, room to run. He throws and completes for a first down to Andre Roberts.
Probably haven't done enough of this for Ryan Lindley, who does it on his own. He's going to bounce out of the pocket and extend the play with his legs, which then really breaks down all the principles of the zone coverage. And watch Andre Roberts right there just stop and spot up and take a picture of the quarterback and let him know, look, Drake Florence just fell off of me. Ryan Lindley looked back inside and threw a nice ball across his body for the first down.
As is caught inside the 40, Larry Fitzgerald. Another Cardinal first down.
I love that, and I love the fact Kenny Wisenhunt is making it easy on his quarterback, that being the head coach, and giving him opportunities to find a rhythm and make plays. The short passing game. Get it out quick, off coverage on Larry Fitzgerald. There's the slant, perfect ball location.
4 catches in the game for Fitzgerald. Calvin Johnson has 5. Remember, Patrick Peterson said to Calvin Johnson, you're the second best receiver. Larry Fitzgerald is the best in the NFL.
He crosses, I'll climb.
First and 10. Knocked down with a loss is Larot Stevens howling. Delmas up from his safety spot.
It should be interesting to see how they handle Louis Delmas. Tom Luan, the president of the club. And I mean, his contract's up now, and he has been such a terrific player as he comes unblocked off the edge. I mean, he really is, the guy on the back end that really gives them juice. But the problem is, and he's such an emotional leader, he can't stay healthy. He hasn't played a full season yet in Detroit with that knee issue.
Snyder, if you got it, I gotta go.
2nd and 13 from the 39. Lindley's throw low for Jeff King.
Did you hear what Darren College just said to Adam Snyder? And he's playing left guard. And Adam Snyder, there's a player, a defensive lineman in between them. And he basically communicated with his center. Great field audio is that you got it because I got to go, which means I've got to fan out my protection and move to the outside. I hope you've got this guy that's in between us.
Back's right, back's right.
And Snyder did.
Kevin McCloskey, who works the audio for us on our crew, one of the best at what he does.
Hey, 90's a down man. We got him 5 down.
Yep. And now he's identifying the 5 down.
3rd and 13. It's low but caught short of the first down. Hausler.
Which really Darren Collins just told the running back, we got the 5 down. You're going to end up having the linebacker, and you saw it perfectly as William Powell stepped out there and picked up Justin Durant.
And College, the only player who's playing the same position on the offensive line that he was playing when the year started. A 51-yard field goal try from Jay Feely, who has made 9 in a row. His career long, a 61-yarder. Remember, the roof is open today, but there's very little breeze. Wisenhunt letting the clock run down, and we're going to take a timeout called by the Cardinals. They'll have 2 remaining in this half. 51-yard try, but they didn't have the right personnel out on the field.
Well, what happened was Darren College went out, and his replacement is David Carter right there, 79, who comes in late, and Jay Feely by no means wants to rush this kick. It was all about the personnel on the field. 51 yards, well within his wheelhouse.
Going for 10 straight field goals. It's up there. It's out there. It's good. So he now has 15 career field goals of 50 yards or more. And the Arizona Cardinals widen their lead. Cardinals during their 9-game losing streak had not scored more than 19 points in any of those 9 games. They have 24 today. Feely, who just made the field goal, kicking off to Logan and the Lions, who scored first in this game. Detroit's offense will start from the 20-yard line. Calvin Johnson is aiming for his 7th straight 100-yard receiving day. Has 44 yards so far, chasing history.
The great one.
Jerry Rice, who set in 1995 the all-time NFL record of 1,848 receiving yards. That's a single-season record. Calvin Johnson came in today just 303 yards away with 3 games, including today, and the updated numbers to the moment, including his catches. He's 259 yards from that record of Jerry Rice as LeSure carries. Calvin Johnson has never met Jerry Rice, and some have said that Rice not only the best receiver in the history of the game, but maybe the best player. And Calvin already closing in on that magical number in a season.
And as he said to us yesterday, it's really cool to be able to chase such an old record with such a great player. And we all know Jerry Rice, the best that's ever played the wide receiver position. It's not going to be easy. Look, Arizona good in pass defense. Chicago good in pass defense. One thing to his benefit, though, is this game and then the next 2 will all be indoors at 70 degrees. The weather will not have a factor.
Matthew Stafford's throw batted down. Looked like he was trying to get it to Calvin Johnson. The remaining Lions games, the Falcons and then the Bears. And Stafford said it would be an honor to get the ball to Calvin and have him share the record. Right now, Detroit has to try and rally here in Arizona.
And look at Calais Campbell, all 6'8" of him. He's so high that ball hits him right in the grill, right in the face mask. That's what the good pass rushers do. When they realize they're locked up, they're not going to get there, and the quarterback's throwing it, stop your rush and get up in the throwing lane. Perfect.
3rd down and 8. Pass is caught. That's Calvin Johnson, who fights for a 1st down across the 30-yard line. He's already hit the 100-yard catch mark for the first time in his career.
Now here's the beauty of this play. He's going to motion in, and it's not even a great throw, but Calvin goes and gets it and then breaks the tackle and is able to get past the 1st down mark.
The Detroit Lions, and you talked about their season, Tim. They've had 8 losses by 1 single score. Think about that. 8 losses. They come in with a 4-9 record. If you flip that, they're a playoff contender. But here they are trailing by 17. As LeSure carry. Oh, and almost busted it. William Gay was hanging on.
And that one's going to the house, I would think, if Mikel LeSure breaks through and pulls away from the shoelace tackle of William Gay. Same play they ran earlier with Riley Reif leading the way. This time it stays front side. There's the shoelace tackle right there.
So at the 45-yard line, Mikel LeSure, 54 yards rushing in the game after a pickup of 14. He stays in at running back. He gets the carry and maybe a yard or 2. Let's get a game break and check in with Los Angeles.
Well, let's see if we've got enough time for this. The Steelers taking on the Cowboys. Ben Roethlisberger, hold the ball, make a move, scramble, take your time. Oh, there's Heath Miller, wide open, 30-yard touchdown. Ties the game at 10 apiece, just like that. Classic Roethlisberger. 3rd quarter, Chris, Tim, Jamie.
Thanks, Kurt. And checking the steadies. He looked like Kurt Menefee throwing to that cardboard cutout of Larry Fitzgerald on the pregame show when Kurt took on the role of a Cardinal quarterback. Meanwhile, Stafford with the screen to LeSure. And he stopped short of the 1st down. This Detroit Lion defense today with 2 interceptions of Stafford, so 21 for the year, in the top 3 in the league, and 31 takeaways for Ray Horton's defense.
Yeah, the Cardinal defense. Hey, Chris, that's one thing about them is, and they don't have dominant pass rushers. And I think that's one area Ray Horton and his defense will want to go is to, and they lost O'Brien Schofield, but go get a guy on the outside that can really dominate and win one-on-one matchups. Majority of their pressure has come by outstanding scheme from Ray Horton. Heck, they look like the Pittsburgh Steelers in terms of all the blitzes and all the pressures they call every game.
3rd and 1. So throw. Stafford backpedaling. A little behind, but Calvin Johnson has it. All the way down to the 21-yard line.
What a terrific job by Matthew Stafford. Knowing the blitz is coming, he looks left, he looks right. Now he pedals out to his left, and Calvin Johnson right in front of him on the crossing route, which took a long time to develop. Patrick Peterson falls down. The rest is history with Calvin picking up extra yards, but very well done by Matthew Stafford getting to his 3rd read and extending the play.
Calvin Johnson with a 24-yard catch and carry.
What you got? What you got?
A fresh set of downs for the Lions. The short of the handoff, brought down right away. Darrell Washington came in with 113 tackles and gets another one. 14 targets, 7 catches for Calvin Johnson. He's got 77 yards, and again, that NFL record that he can equal, held by a couple of players. Michael Irvin, one of those. He's closing in on.
He and Larry Fitzgerald, I don't know about you, and we've met them all. And you talk about superstars and star power, the 2 humblest superstars, Chris, I've ever met in my life.
At a diva position, the wide receiver. The likable guys. Pass is low and incomplete. We mentioned Charlie Hannigan of the Oilers and Michael Irvin of the Cowboys back in '95. They're the ones who have 7 consecutive games with 100 receiving yards or more. And Calvin comes in with 6 straight. And he's 23 yards away.
Yeah, and down 3 scores here. I can promise you, you're going to see Calvin targeted 20 times in this game.
And he's to the top of your screen on 3rd and 11. Now he's moving to the right side of the slot of Stafford. Kevin Johnson, or I should say Kevin Smith, excuse me, did not hold on to the football, so it's 4th down. Jason Hanson will come in to try a field goal.
Really well played by Patrick Peterson, who ended up being in zone coverage and really playing Tony Scheffler. The tight end release vertical. That's where Matthew Stafford wanted to go with the ball. It wasn't there. Well covered by Peterson, so he had to try to check it down to the same side to the running back. As you said, Chris didn't hang on.
So Jason Hanson, 27 of 31. This will be a 41-yard try. And he gets the Lions just a little bit closer. Now down just 2 scores. Jim Schwartz trying to rally the Lions. With Matthew Stafford, you're never out of the game. Tim Wright, Chris Myers here in Arizona. Some games earlier. The Broncos stay hot with Peyton Manning, and the Ravens are in trouble. They get the Giants next Sunday. You'll see it on Fox. The Colts lose to the Texans, but Houston will be at home against Peterson and the Vikings next Sunday. You'll see that on Fox. And the Redskins take hold of the NFC East with a win behind Kirk Cousins as the Giants got blown out in Atlanta.
That's 5 in a row for the Redskins. 5 W's in a row for Mike Shanahan's team.
LaRon Stevens howling for the Cardinals, looking for running room. Squeezes through somehow. All the way up to the 30-yard line. You lose a guy when he's 5'7" back there. Arizona, after a 30-yard return, they have the lead and they have the football. 2 of the best receivers in the NFL. 11 catches between them today, but neither one of them has been in the end zone yet. First down from the 30. Beanie Wells the back. He's got a couple of scores in this game. He gets the carry and is going to be stopped short of the 34-yard line. Ryan Lindley, the rookie, 11 of 17. 91 yards and suffered the early interception. But this Cardinal team, how do you figure it? Because Lindley came in late and wasn't very effective. 58-0 up at Seattle. And here they come back against an explosive Lions team, and somehow they're up 24-10.
Yeah, pretty obvious. They're winning the turnover battle here in this football game, and it forced 3 turnovers. They had 8 turnovers against Seattle up at their house. That avalanche started, and it seemed like every ball bounced in favor of the Seattle Seahawks. It's a wacky league.
Oh, incomplete. Michael Floyd, the target. Let's check in with Kurt Menefee on Seattle Buffalo.
Well, Ryan Fitzpatrick misses his target here, and look out for the Seattle Seahawks. 58 points last week against Arizona, and right now they're tagging Buffalo. Earl Thomas with the interception. Then watch the return. 57 yards for a score. 3 turnovers by the Seahawk defense they've taken away from Buffalo. Right now they lead at 47-17 with 4 minutes to go in the third quarter. Chris and Tim.
Thanks, Kurt. The 49ers get the Patriots tonight, and the next Sunday, San Francisco has to play in Seattle. On 3rd and 7. Lindley, sideline throw. Oh, tough catch. Here comes a flag. Fitzgerald could not come up with the football.
Now, Chris Houston is shocked. He sees the flag on the field. He didn't notice until real late. Boy, that should be a conference no call right there.
There is no pass interference visible on the replay.
Pass interference. Defense, number 23. Spiral foul. Automatic first down.
Well, if anything, the field judge called that Chris Houston was grabbing the arm of Larry Fitzgerald, but I didn't see it. It looked like he reached for it right there, but didn't grab it.
That was a slight brush. That was beyond the 5-yard mark, because further downfield you can't see it. It's a 23-yard penalty. And a first down for the Arizona Cardinals. Inside the 45 of Detroit. Here comes a flag.
False start. Offense, number 71. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
That is on Darren College, who is from North Pole, Alaska, every December. Worth mentioning.
And a Boise Stater.
This offensive line, they've done a pretty good job for Lindley. He has not been sacked today. Speaking of the North Pole, shouldn't he be up there with his Elves? In fact, no sacks. They've given up 51, the most in the league coming into this game. But today, Detroit's been unable to get to Lindley.
How about Pat McQuiston, 7 years in the league, his first start today at right guard against Ndamukong Suh. He hasn't given up anything.
Pass is complete at the 40 to Michael Floyd. He spins around and is brought back down right at the mark. They need to get inside the 35 for a first down. Call star NFL to download NFL Mobile. Get coverage of every NFL game this holiday season while you're on the go. Remember to call star NFL. And this holiday season, wherever you're rushing around to, follow the National Football League. Second down 6. Lindley at the controls, hits the 100-yard mark at passing yards.
Hasn't been great for him, but you can just feel that his confidence is starting to burst.
Beanie Wells steps over one defender. Gets run out of bounds. Ryan Lindley said, Tim, that we talked to him on Friday, a 6th-round draft pick from San Diego State, 6'3", 230. He's 23 years old. He said, I have to tell myself, because this is the 3rd time I'm getting a chance to start, that I'm not a rookie anymore. I can't use that as an excuse. It's not in my first year. I'm still learning. I just have to do the job.
Well, that's the whole thing. I think back to Alex Smith for the first 5 or 6 years of his career, and all the pressure of being the #1 overall pick. Felt like he had to defy X's and O's and go win the game. And finally realized under Jim Harbaugh last year to just play the position, man. You're one of 11 guys. Just go do your job.
Pass is high, but hauled in short of the first down by Andre Roberts. Stephen Tulloch, Lions leading tackler right there. 140 and counting, and Lindley comes up a little bit short on this drive. Cardinals capable of a fake with a 14-point lead. Zastudil back to punt.
Well, just know this, if you're a Lion fan, they've scored more points in the 4th quarter than any offense in pro football. They're far from out of it.
They're passing up what would be a 53-yard field goal try. Feely already made one from 51. The boot. Logan, fair catch called for. And Hassett inside the 10. We mentioned Ryan Lindley, the rookie quarterback from San Diego State. And he said Brian Sipe, the quarterback coach there, pictured right there with Ryan Lindley, has been a big influence. Sipe, remember, with the Cleveland Browns from 74 to 83, was the National Football League MVP in 1980. And he's the Browns' all-time leader in passing yards and passing touchdowns. Brian Sipe, quarterback coach at San Diego State, helping Lindley even to this day. In fact, he said that Sipe broke out some Bill Walsh, Joe Montana video to show Lindley to just get him to calm down, as you said, throw the ball.
Maybe we can get to that short passing attack, too, in Arizona. And it served Ryan Lindley well today, Chris.
Stafford gives to Bell. Joyce Bell met hard. This Cardinal defense playing ferociously today. And in on the tackle, Ricky Lumpkin, who was just activated from the practice squad when Dan Williams was inactive for this game today. Player out of Kentucky in his first year.
When they're playing much better against the run today. I mean, you go back to last week up in Seattle, 284 yards rushing, 2 running backs with up over 100. This Cardinal defense was embarrassed. They're making amends here today.
From the 9-yard line of Detroit. Pass is incomplete. Went through the hands of Bell.
And Joyce Bell's got to stop his route. I mean, it is zone coverage, and you got to stop and get stationary for your quarterback who's throwing to a landmark. Matthew Stafford's throwing to the landmark. Joyce Bell kept running, so it ended up looking like an inaccurate throw.
30 pass attempts for Matthew Stafford through 3 quarters here, or 21 seconds remaining here in the 3rd quarter. And another 3rd down. Short of the first down. Will Heller at the 15-yard line.
Boy, it just seems like Matthew Stafford is picking himself up off the ground on virtually every throw.
And that is the end of the 3rd quarter. Matthew Stafford does have 9 fourth-quarter comebacks in his brief career. He's only 24 years old. He'll have to do it again today. It's the Cardinals 24 and the Lions 10. You're watching the NFL on Fox. Sold out here in Arizona. The fans coming to rally their team after a 58-0 blowout up in Seattle. Try to end a 9-game losing streak. The Cardinal defense has made big plays, forced the Lions into a 4th down punt. Harris. Patrick Peterson. Peterson goes all the way across the field and races up toward midfield before going out of bounds. A 15-yard return after a 49-yard punt. January 4th, the Cotton Bowl is on Fox, and Heisman Trophy winner Johnny Manziel from Texas A&M taking on the Oklahoma Sooners. It's the AT&T Cotton Bowl Classic, January 4th, and you'll see it on Fox. Tim Ryan, Chris Myers, Jamie Maggio down on the field. This is a Mike Burks production directed by Michael Frank, and we're glad you're watching as the Cardinals try to protect a 14-point lead.
180.
Before it's all said and done here, this Lions defense going to have to make a play and get a turnover.
And there is the first sack of the game as Ndamukong Suh gets his 6.5 sack of the year.
Well, I just put the jinx on Pat McQuiston, who's getting his first start in 7 years in this big challenge, this big matchup with Suh, where he's held up very, very well. Suh is just going to blow up the edge on him right here. And you get that right shoulder down, and as soon as he did, McQuiston leaned into it. When an offensive lineman gets his nose over his toes, he is cooked. And Ndamukong Suh finishes on the quarterback for a sack, I believe 6.5 on the season.
52nd sack given up by the Cardinals this year, the most in the National Football League. Loss of 7. LaRon Stevens howling. And it'll bring a 3rd down. And Ndamukong Suh was telling us that even at the age of 7, he was bigger than all the other kids playing soccer, running around. He'd bump into somebody, knock him down. They think he was being rough. And he said he didn't realize it until he was 11 or 12 when his parents had to speak up for him and say, you know, you have to see, you're bigger than all the other.
Well, they all thought he was supposed to be on the next age group up. And all those skill sets and the athleticism and the ability, but what makes Ndamukong Suh, and I'm sure from his early days in soccer, was the desire to be great and to finish on people in the mean streak, which suits him well in this Sunday afternoon league.
On third down, Lindley's throw underneath to Stevens. Howland, who's looking for running room. And the Lions smother him to force a fourth down. Through three quarters, and you never know what you're going to get with two teams trying to break out of the losing skid. But those turnovers and the points off turnovers, that's why the Cardinals are up big.
Yeah, and it is the turnovers, but that trend still continues for Arizona, and that's not a good one here on third down. If you can't play the ball control keep away game and convert on third down, you're giving it right back to that high octane offense that they have shut down so far for the most part. It'll be a matter of time, Chris, before they come alive.
And Calvin Johnson hit 100 receiving yards and equal an NFL record. He's 23 away as Astudillo punts. Logan watches this one go into the end zone. It's a win for the Lions, getting better field position now, coming out to the 20-yard line. They've scored more points in the fourth quarter than any other team. Their defense has set them up here. Ken Wisenhunt, when I asked him about job security and the losing streak, he said, losses, that's what keeps me up at night and sick to my stomach, not job security. Well, his defense has set up his offense today with 24 points, more than they've had in the last 3 games combined. Can the defense hold it against the Lions and Matthew Stafford? On first down from the 20. Open in the clear is Tony Scheffler. Turning the wrong way. It's incomplete and Stafford knocked down.
Well, not a good throw by Matthew Stafford, and he saw it late because Scheffler was wide open right down the seam. Arizona's playing 3 deep coverage, so you get a guy vertical in between the corner and the safety. They had it, but Scheffler has to flip around and try to catch it. Now still should have caught it. And those are the plays you got to make, and again, that's why you're 4-9. Missed opportunities, and Matthew Stafford again on the ground has just been blasted today.
5 drops if you include that one, and that could have been a touchdown. A missed opportunity by the Lions. The screen to the shore goes nowhere. He'll lose 5 yards. It's Darrell Washington. Swooping in.
I'm sorry, Chris. You better forget about screenplays with Darrell Washington in man coverage. Forget it. It's not going to work. He's looking at the running back. Here he is here. He's looking right at Mikel LeSure. And he sniffs this out right away. And he sniffs it out faster than the offensive lineman could get out there and block him. He was at the point before Rob Sims, the blocker, could ever get there and run screens against that dude.
All right, William Gay goes over to cover Calvin Johnson on third down. Double coverage in that area. Stafford comes the other way, and it's incomplete. Brian Robisky in the game, the target.
And Arizona is just going to force Matthew Stafford to go somewhere else with the ball. There's the vice coverage with William Gay and Kerry Rhodes. That's like blocking a punter on the punt team and not letting him get down the field. So Stafford, with pressure in his face throughout most of the game, now has to get the ball out to his other read. And not a good throw out there to Robisky.
Andre Roberts back to return the punt to Harris, giving Patrick Peterson a breather. Backs up to the 35, slips, gets up across the 40. Here comes a flag. And then they back the Cardinals up and hurt the good field position. There's also a flag down back inside the 20-yard line. Six penalties accepted on the Lions today, 5 accepted on Ken Wisenhunt's team. Jerome Boger, our referee, has been busy. Had an incident with Jim Schwartz where Schwartz wanted an explanation on a muff punt call that was turned around. And getting word from the field that Patrick Peterson is cramping. That's the reason he was not back on the return. And obviously if he's not in to cover Calvin Johnson.
There are 2 fouls on the play. During the kick, illegal block in the back. Receiving team, number 28. That penalty is declined. Holding. Receiving team, number 59. 10-yard penalty from the end of the kick. Arizona keeps the ball. First down.
Zach Nash, the penalty accepted. Cardinals will be backed up after the penalty. The medical staff checking on Matthew Stafford over on the Lions sideline.
Yeah, and you take a big shot, and immediately you've got the doctor that's got to check him, and I would think for the head trauma. I have no head injury, but I can't. There's no way I can do that.
Well, he hasn't been sacked, but he's been hit. He seems like last every play by this relentless Cardinal defense, and now on offense, Beanie Wells. Let's check in with Kurt Menefee for a game break. Kurt?
Cowboys and Steelers still going at it old school style. Big Ben. Nice pass. Caught by Mike Wallace. One play later, Jonathan Dwyer scored to tie the game at 17 apiece as they get towards the end of the third quarter. Both teams desperately needing a win today. Chris and Tim.
The Bengals won earlier in the week. Of course, the Redskins won today. Giants lost. Dallas, as Kurt mentioned, the pressure is on. It's Patrick Peterson being checked on the sideline. Beanie Wells on 2nd and 9. That's 14 carries in the game. Make it 50. Run out of bounds, short of the first down by Tulloch. An important third down. We mentioned Calvin Johnson chasing Jerry Rice in history in terms of receiving yards, and chasing Eric Dickerson's record is Adrian Peterson, and then he needs 294 yards in 2 games, and he'll have the Packers at home, but next week he'll be in Houston after he had over 200 yards today in the Lions victory.
I think he can do it. I mean, nobody stopped him yet.
Vikings winners today against the Rams. Lions trailing by 14 here on 3rd and 2. The pitch to Powell, and he's cut down short of the first down. Delmas coming in like a missile.
Well, I think it was when he first got here to Detroit, Jim Schwartz called him the guided missile. And right there he had his heat seeker working, because he comes flying out of nowhere. You'll see him flash into your screen on William Powell like a flash. Just knifing out that outside leg and takes Powell right to the ground. As a matter of fact, he was so fast, Powell didn't see him till he got there.
Delmas healthy, playing in the 6th of 19 regular season games. Aston back to punt, and Logan. Lions need a play from their special teams or defense. Try and make up the 14-point deficit here. A high booming kick. Logan, fair catch inside the 15-yard line. The health of Matthew Stafford and Patrick Peterson may have a lot to say about how effective they will be in the 4th quarter. Matthew Stafford has not been sacked, Tim, but 10 hits and 10 knockdowns today.
And the back of his jersey shows it. And Arizona continues to have an adverse effect on the quarterback. They've done it virtually every game this year with the exception of last year. Stafford's got a 30 rating so far in this game. They are destroying him with hits.
Patrick Peterson back in the secondary. The throw in the neighborhood of Calvin Johnson, who hangs on and goes out of bounds, working against Peterson.
And that's going to be real close to giving him that 100-yard threshold. Look at this throw from Matthew Stafford. Of course, coming right out of the slot, man coverage, one-on-one, mano-a-mano, and Stafford throws a perfect ball.
A 30-yard gain. He's over 100 yards. 7 straight 100-yard receiving games for Calvin Johnson, equaling an NFL record held by Charlie Hennigan of the Oilers in '61 and Michael Irvin of the Cowboys in 1995. Stafford on the run, throws it out of bounds. 8 catches, 107 yards for Calvin Johnson. Darnell Dockett putting the pressure on Matthew Stafford, and that's a Lions team record, and again equaling the NFL mark. That's really impressive.
Well, his mindset now, and it took him a few years to get going. He's just so physically skilled, and his numbers were always really good. That's Nate Burleson talking to him there, the receiver that's hurt. But I think Calvin decided a couple of years ago that I'm bigger, I'm stronger, and I'm better than everybody else out there. And I'm just going to thrive on that, have confidence to go get it. He's awesome.
But can he help the Lions rally here in the desert?
Can the Lions help him?
Pass is caught by Logan. Gets into Arizona territory. See where they spot it for the first down. Stafford now 36 attempts. He did get the first down. Only 173 yards through the air so far on 17 completions, 37 attempts.
And as methodical, Chris, as this offense has been today, and only 10 points, They're going to have to up tempo here with just a little over 8 minutes to go. Down 2 touchdowns. They're going to start driving this ball down the field and getting to the line of scrimmage quick.
No, 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 no.
Stafford's throw is caught again by Johnson. The 41-yard line with his progress from the initial spot of the catch.
The beauty of Calvin is not as he, you know, we talked about the outside routes and the big routes down the field and the vertical routes. But those in cuts where he is cutting inside and then driving back to the football with that big body, it's just all about timing from Matthew Stafford, who has great trust in him. It's really super hard to defend. He's such a concise route runner.
A hard worker, a smart kid. His mom a doctor, his father still works on the railroad.
See if they take a shot up top here.
It's caught inside the 20 by Tony Scheffler. Inside the 15 before he's run out of bounds.
William Gay just never finds the ball. I mean, this is a mismatch size-wise. Scheffler's all of 6'5", but William Gay never turns to locate the football until it's too late, and it's whizzed right by his ear.
A 29-yard catch. Scheffler saw the ball late but held on. From the 12-yard line of Arizona. Matthew Stafford floats one out of bounds. Coverage was excellent by the Cardinal defense.
I think if you're one thing for the Lions here is look, I mean, you can still get a first down inside the 3-yard line. You gotta work for that. Every single player offensively was in the end zone looking for the home run there on first down.
From the 12-yard line, Tim, and you have to think with all 3 of your timeouts, you're in 4-down territory. Stafford with a bullet to Logan, who puts a move on, gets inside the 5-yard line. It'll bring up 3rd and short.
Creative little move by Stephon Logan. Every time he's been in the game, he has just run that quick little either pivot angle route or the out route. And here he's lined up on the numbers. And he's just going to run the speed out. And I don't think the Arizona Cardinals were expecting him to cut it back up inside. I think they were expecting him to take it out of bounds. He ends up getting him real close to that first down mark.
Scott Linehan looking at a 3rd and 2 from the 4-yard line. Joyke Bell is the running back. Calvin Johnson, bottom of your screen. Chris Durham up at the top. He's 6'6".
Watch out for Tony Scheffler at the top.
For Durham in the end zone. He's got it for a touchdown. There's a flag down in the middle of the end zone.
Prior to the snap, delay of game, offense, number 9. 5-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
A huge mistake by the Lions.
Jim Schwartz doesn't agree with it. Now here's the clock, and I'm telling you, the back judge has got his eyes right there on the center. As that clock goes to 0, and if that ball's still on the ground and not in the process of being snapped, he's throwing the flag for delay of game, and the back judge was perfect in his call. That was delay of game.
Backed up to the 9-yard line. The clock's right there for everybody to see. Now 3rd and 7 for the first down. Matthew Stafford underneath. That's Bell. Stopped short of the first down. Paris Lennon hung on. So it's 4th and short.
And you got to go for it down 2 scores. And the field goal does you no good here. Down 14, 2 touchdowns.
Under 6 minutes to go. Lions have all 3 of their timeouts. Clock continues to run. It's going to be 2 yards away. So the rookie Ryan Lindley looks on. You see the 4th down conversions this season for Detroit.
That's Will Heller at the bottom here, the tight end.
Stafford end zone throw is intercepted. Another Cardinal takeaway. Greg Toller. He might go. He could go. He did go. Touchdown. And 2 yards from one end zone to the other. A new Cardinal record.
I don't know what Matthew Stafford is thinking here. As he looks out, you're going to see man coverage, and they all get out, and then watch as Toller just gives up on Chris Durham, lets him go, and then just jumps the route. And then, of course, Darrell Washington destroys Matthew Stafford. You know what? The Lions are 4-9. Maybe going to end up being 4-10, and really their own fault. The delay of game absolutely took the points right off the board, and it was the right call.
Trying to end a 9-game losing streak. The Cardinals are in control. Stafford's third interception today, and a new franchise record for the Cardinals. Greg Toller, a 102-yard return. That eclipses Adrian Wilson, a 99-yard interception return, and Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie, also a 99-yard return in the franchise record books.
I'm not so sure Matthew Stafford is right from the neck up, Chris. I mean, he has just been blasted in this game, and not a good decision to throw the ball where he did.
Lion offense will come back on the 20-yard line. The turnovers, remember how bad it was for Arizona up in Seattle. Well, they've had it their way. It started with that muff punt. That got them in scoring position. Patrick Peterson. The interception run back for a touchdown by Rashad Johnson, and then another one of 102 yards. The Cardinal franchise record for Greg Toller. And it looks like the Lions' losing skid is on its way to 6, and the Cardinals finally bring the nightmare to an end with 5:07 to go. Pass is caught underneath Robisky, short of the 30-yard line.
That's his first catch as a Lion.
And they're going with the hurry up as they go right to the line. Look who's getting loose, Shaun Hill.
I love that guy.
He can roll out of bed and lead a team, throwing passes and getting them in scoring position. On 2nd down 1. Pass is caught. Calvin Johnson with his 10th catch of the game. It'll be good for a Lion first down.
Look at what Matthew Stafford has been under in terms of the duress all day long. No sacks, 5 hurries, 10 hits, 10 knockdowns, 3 interceptions, 2 pick sixes.
The incompletion here for Bell. Matthew Stafford started the season with a 3-interception game against the Rams. They overcame that, were able to get the victory. He equals his worst performance of the year in terms of the turnovers with the 3 in this game. That Cardinal defense brought pressure, came up with the interceptions, and now a 2nd and 10. Double coverage and incomplete. Calvin Johnson the target with Rhodes and Peterson on it. Patrick Peterson, you know, he talked a good game, but he backed it up. He had the interception earlier. He said, I'm the best corner, and I can handle Calvin Johnson. Of course, Larry Fitzgerald in this game has only 4 catches, but he's on the sideline that's leading today.
Yeah, but the offense didn't screw it up. I think that's the beauty of the Arizona Cardinals. It wasn't great for Ryan Lindley, but it's really the best he's looked. Not in terms of his yards, but in terms of how he functioned and managed the offense today.
Steady at the controls. The rookie quarterback for the Cardinals. On 3rd down. Low and incomplete for Robisky. Let's check in with Kirk Menefee for a game break.
And we check in with the Cowboys and Steelers. Ben Roethlisberger hooking up with Antonio Brown. 7 yards scored. And Pittsburgh has his first lead of the afternoon, 24-17 early on in the fourth quarter. Chris and Ted.
Thanks, Kurt. We also noticed that Seattle in Toronto has a 50-17 lead on Buffalo. That means the Seahawks have scored 108 points in the last 2 games. And here on 4th and 10, the Lions have no choice but to go for it.
Wonder who they're going to throw to, Chris.
Delayed pressure, and Stafford goes down. The Cardinals finally get the sack, and it's the veteran Adrian Wilson. They pushed him around all day and beat him up. Now they get the sack.
And let's give the secondary some love too, because Matthew Stafford wanted to unload the ball right there, and there was just nowhere for him to go. And Adrian Wilson ends up getting blocked into him and gets him down for the sack. That's sack number 3 on the year for Adrian Wilson. Jim Schwartz is,
Well,
you know, it's
his
frustrating.
team did not play well today.
No,
so.
they didn't. And as frustrating as the season's been for the Arizona Cardinals at 4-9 and all the hope coming off last year in the 4-0 start, I would have to think that the Lions being 4-9 and now going to 4-10 is a much bigger disappointment.
Yeah, if you're asking a focus group, they probably agree with you. Stafford with 41 touchdown passes last year, 17 at this point. Beanie Wells carries and a couple of touchdowns in the first half. The Lions wanted to build on their playoff team of a year ago as they use a timeout, and they'll have 2 remaining. They have a lot of, the Detroit Lions, a lot of defensive players that are going to be on the market that they have to sign or make a decision on.
Boy, and that is a big question mark, and they certainly, Chris, will not get all of them re-signed. But you're talking about several defensive linemen: Sammy Lee Hill, Cliff Averill, Lawrence Jackson, Louis Delmas back on the back end, Chris Houston back on the back end, Justin Durant, DeAndre Levy, 2 starting outside linebackers. They got a lot of guys scheduled for free agency.
You join the NFL in celebrating 50 years of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. This is the golden anniversary. You come to Canton and join more than 10 million fans who've made the trip to the birthplace of the National Football League. We ask you to visit ProFootballHof.com, ProFootballHallOfFame.com for more details.
You know I'm in the Hall of Fame, right?
For doing what?
I'm going to tell you right now, I'm in Canton.
It has something to do with Barry Sanders?
Yeah.
As Beanie Wells gets to the outside. Beanie. Yeah, what do you say? Touchdown. His 3rd touchdown of the game.
Well, terrific block by the fullback, Anthony Sherman, who's going to end up sealing here. Now, the linebackers got to get over the top. Stephen Tulloch, you see him there, 55. He's peeking inside. Nor he nor Justin Durant get to the outside, and Beanie Wells, all 230 pounds of him, still has some juice to take it to the house. Nice block by College, taking out 2 guys.
31-yard touchdown run, and the 3 touchdowns in this game ties Beanie Wells' career high. A 38-point explosion from the Cardinals. Their defense set up their offense. The offense put it in the end zone.
So I'll finish my Hall of Fame story.
Yes, I want to hear about this.
And we're at the Hall of Fame, and I got my son there, and I'm in the back doing something, and he's got a friend with him, and he runs all the way in the back. He goes, Dad, you're in the Hall of Fame. Come check this out. I go, I'm not in Pro Football Hall of Fame, son. Not a chance. He goes, Dad, you got to come look at this. I'm telling you, you are in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So he takes me all the way back. He takes me to the video kiosk, and there I am, dripping off Barry Sanders for a 40-yard touchdown run.
As a member of the Bears, you were like reaching, right, for
reaching and falling off along with 10 other teammates.
You're not alone. There are a lot of defensive players, Tim, could be in the Hall of Fame for not being able to tackle Barry Sanders.
That's true.
That's how he got there. Well, certainly today. And the Bears will come to Arizona to face this Cardinal team next Sunday on Fox. And it's a game Chicago needs, but I think the Cardinals and their fans needed this one.
Absolutely. And you know what? Ken Wisenhunt needed it from his football team, clearly. And they have not quit playing for Ken Wisenhunt. Last week was a total aberration. This defense, which is obviously, Kenny Wisenhunt's an offensive guy. Clearly, they haven't quit on either side of the ball, and they got nice contributions from the special teams today also.
As Logan carries, you know, there are 24 of the 32 teams we mentioned get to start the same quarterback every game this year. The Cardinals, the Lions were one of those with Matthew Stafford. Cardinals on the other side of that with all of the quarterback shuffling. And if they have a quarterback, then this is a playoff contending team, a healthy, regular quarterback that can get the ball to Larry Fitzgerald.
Yeah, and you know what? The quarterback issues have been compounded by losing 2 starting offensive linemen. You lose two running backs, and Ryan Williams and Beanie Wells for most of the year. You lose Kevin Cobb, who had 8 touchdowns to 3 interceptions. And there's a lot of reasons why Ken Wisenhunt won't use any of them as excuses.
Stafford stays in and is brought down again. Second sack of the game for the Cardinals. Calais Campbell, and they are pouring it on now.
Well, they're just not stopping the big fella who goes inside. Dockett's going to end up wrapping around him. And as soon as Rob Sims had to come off of Calais Campbell to get Darnell Dockett, it set him free, and Calais Campbell finished on the sack.
On second down 20, Stafford throws to Joyke Bell. He's knocked out in the 15. Tim, there's talk about, and the talk comes from outside the building, obviously, about Ken Wisenhunt's future. But what about Jim Schwartz? I know he has a contract. He took the Lions from 0 to the playoffs. And the Ford family, Bill Ford and the Ford family, they've been so loyal to their coaches and front office personnel and so patient. I think some Lion fans are wondering, as you said, this has not just been an off year. It's been a very disappointing year for this Detroit team.
If you're a Lions fan, you're used to being patient. Show some more patience, because Jim Schwartz isn't going anywhere.
He said he's not that far off from the plan, that if they are healthy and get players in certain positions, he thinks the foundation they've laid is strong enough. And if you have Matthew Stafford, Calvin Johnson, I can't argue with him.
Look, 8 of their 10 losses have been within 1 score. You said it earlier in the broadcast. I can tell you one thing: he's not gonna give up in terms of his mentality and his approach and what the plan is. Defensively, they've got to do better personnel, and they've got to go get themselves a real shutdown corner. Period.
There aren't many Patrick Petersons out there. Fair catch already called for back at the 36, as Peterson is back there. The NFC playoff picture to the moment. And these Cardinals will have something to say about that, because they play the Falcons next, and then they finish, I should say the Lions play the Falcons next, and then the Bears. But Seattle, that's including as they finish up in Canada. They just did win 50-17, so they are 9-5, the Seahawks.
And they can still win the division, as I've said. And if San Francisco loses that game tonight at New England, and it should be a big matchup, big test for Colin Kaepernick, I don't think the Packers are going to lose another game in the next couple of weeks. They're going to end up being a number 2 seed and having an off week through the first round of the playoffs, I would think.
As William Powell carries. The Cardinals play the Bears next, and then they finish at San Francisco, so they'll be involved a little bit in the positioning of playoff teams.
Yeah, and you think about Seattle, and if they clearly win in today, and then if they can win next week in that big matchup against San Francisco, they host the Rams in the final game of the season. So both of those games on the West Coast could really end up deciding who wins the division.
We have reached the 2-minute warning. The Lions had a 7-0 lead at one time, but the Cardinal defense has taken control of this game. They're about to end their 9-game slide. The Lions are seeing red. They have all day. It's 38-10 Cardinals. And William Powell trying to run out the clock and find room. Lions have 2 timeouts remaining. Today's game is a Mike Burks production. Our director, Michael Frank. Associate Director Brian Biederman. Broadcast Associate is Alex Strand. Audio Kevin McCloskey. From the tape room, Don Vermeulen and Pat Caballero. Pat went to Brophy Prep High School here in the Phoenix area. I'm sure he's proud to be a part of the broadcast today.
Nothing like winning a game in the NFL. Look at all those smiles on the faces of those Arizona Cardinals on the sideline. You lose 9 straight, everybody's down. It's like you win one, you're as good as your last performance in their minds. So hard to win in this league.
It's so different from a Sunday ago. That's why you have to tune into the NFL. Who would have thought after a 58-0 loss? I keep repeating that because I'm shocked. I wonder if Ken Whisenant and the Cardinals are even shocked that they could come in and not play hard, but get the results that they have today.
I'll tell you where I was a little bit shocked in doing that game last week was, and Pete Carroll, as you know, is a friend of mine, but taking shots in the end zone at 51-0, 58-0, that surprised me a little bit.
Larry Fitzgerald with a smile. One of the leaders. Kerry Rhodes said the leaders have to step up this week, even if it's behind closed doors. Called himself one of them, and of course Larry Fitzgerald the same for their rookie quarterback. And there's the veteran who's been through a lot with the Arizona Cardinals.
I just think, Chris, he's pondering his future. Adrian Wilson, he's got a couple of years left with a big number on his contract, and I'm not so sure he's convinced he's going to be here beyond this season.
Sastudo's punt at the 25 rolls to the 24-yard line. Coming up, we'll have 2 regular season weekends to go. So week 16 on Fox. It's a doubleheader game. Saints and Cowboys, Vikings and Texans. That ought to be fun with Adrian Peterson. Going to march on Dickerson's record. And then America's game of the week. The Giants and the Ravens both losing today, clinging to playoff hopes. And the Bears, who have stumbled again. They lost to Green Bay, but they'll be right here in Arizona. It'll be no gimme against these Arizona Cardinals. A frustrated Jim Schwartz. His team will lose its 6th straight game. And the Cardinals, as Joyke Bell carries, will put an end to the misery of a 9-game losing streak after they started the season 4-0. And rookie Ryan Lindley worked the controls. The final here in Arizona, the Cardinals 38, Calvin Johnson and the Lions 10. We'll have more from Phoenix in a moment.